What's going on, everybody? I'm gonna get the stream started here in just a moment. I'm trying to figure out kind of some of these settings here on YouTube, as it's been a while since I've been live on YouTube. A few more minutes here. Okie dokies. All right, all right. Test. Oh, we're here. Turn down this audio. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. YouTube stream. I got to figure out how to do multi-streaming, so I'm just trying to work one thing at a time here, but I wanted to give YouTube back a shot here. Now I just got to figure out how to multicast again for anybody that likes watching out on Twitch. For those that don't know, I've been on Twitch streaming pretty frequently. But I'm trying to get all this stuff working ever since my software kind of went kaput. JTI, what's up? Kyle, what's going on? Jeffrey, what's up? Leveled up, what's up? No, Red, Donald. Good almost afternoon. Keto, Luca, Richard, Colby. What's up? Luca, go. Jeffrey, Andrew, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Let's take a look at the markets and see what's going on. We're finally getting a bounce, but will it stick? Will the bounce stick? Let's go ahead and move this up. And go ahead and cut this music off, really kind of just in the background here. Okay, so first and foremost, market net flow. Let me go ahead and put up convergence because this one's the one that's always in the Discord. You can always see that. Market net flow has been bullish for the entirety of the day. So this is something that we've been really kind of waiting to see. It hasn't been like this. When we got the green line floating up, the red line, flat line, that's a trend day, right? That's, that's what can lead to a trend day, I should say. So this is the most bullish we've seen price action for a minute. And is this just, a dead cat bounce, or, we'll know that in hindsight? Or is the market actually telling us something? Are conditions of the market going to change? So I think it's going to be important to revisit the current conditions of the market. So what I'll do here, first and foremost, we'll kind of touch back up on what we talked about on last night's brief, right? The semiconductors over here right above my head, right? This was one that we're like, oh, wow, it actually put in a higher low. And that's actually a good sign after seeing that both the Qs and the SPY put in lower lows. And we're seeing a little bit of a follow through today. There was also some charts that we shared with some positive divergences, right? And we're seeing that follow through. But where are we, right? Price action for the SPY over here, for the Qs, right? We're above the 5-day moving average for IWM too as well. We still are calculating down. So it still has, time for this thing to really kind of prove itself. But so far, this is a good start, at least for the time being. If we go into where we stand as far as gamma goes,
and seeing some further remarks here from President Trump's nominee to oversee US Medicare and Medicaid, Oz, does note he will defend Medicare drug price negotiation program in court and says he's in favor of work requirements for Medicaid. $56.10 and $56.25. So we're actually kind of floating roughly at about an important zero date level. So this is, the big bounce that, we're getting really excited about over here. Clearly, we've been in kind of a pretty big downtrend, and we've seen, moves like this get faded. As it stands right now, we're still in negative gamma, right? So when we're in negative gamma, what do we see? Well, we see, selling but gets selling, buying but gets buying. Volatility typically is increased, right? That's what we've been seeing. So is this going to be potentially turn into one of those face ripping rallies? That would be the hope that we can get here. If we zoom into the 15-minute time frames, where do we stand right now? We're right back at the weekly implied move. So what I find so interesting about today and this week is if we go into the expected moves for the year, right? So this is the SPY. And all these orange lines here are just the weekly expected moves. So we'll get a new weekly expected move. It'll be posted. What is this? I don't know what that means. Okay. This was the largest weekly expected move for the entirety of this entire year, right? So we had 15.25 in the SPY. The prior week was pretty big, the prior week. And remember, markets, they move between expansion and contraction. We went to VIX backwardation, so it's really normal to see these things lift up like this. We're still underneath the month-to-date expected move. So, right, there's always the possibility that we come back into the month-to-date expected move, and we still have a lot of time left in this current month. But what I like here is the market price in $15 of expectations. We exceeded it, and now we're coming right back into it. But we still moved 15 points. Now, if I go into SPY right now and we look out to next week, 7 days out, right? 7 days out, the expected move is at 1496. So we're still in the throes of volatility as it stands right now. Weekly Baker Hughes rig count. Oil rigs there up
now, I don't know if
487. Nat gas down one at 100, and total left unchanged at 492.
Yes, please rip my face off. Please rip my face off. So we're getting a bounce, but in all honesty, in all reality, where are we? Well, we're right back to the weekly implied move. All right, so that's kind of where we're standing. And then next week, we're looking at another roughly, $14 to $15 of expectations, unless volatility really does come off here. When you're in the throes of volatility, right, you can pull up like a SPY chart with a one-day rate of change, and you'll see like a minus 2% move or a minus 3% move, something crazy. And you typically see, right, here's the zero line, here's minus, we'll just call it 2. When you get these large daily moves, you typically follow through for large up days, and all of a sudden volatility looks like this on the rate of change, then it comes back in, and then it goes like this again, right? I guess I'd have to show you all to be a little bit more clear on that. But right now, market net flow, bullish convergence. There looks like 562 we're currently above. So I wouldn't be fighting or forcing the flow right now. And if you
We're
are
just doing
swing
some
trading,
content
I'd be
on
looking for a
France
target up
BNRC
higher.
Cognac lobby group says it's
Back
12
into the
PM.
monthly implied move at
Beirut of its
568
major
at
concerns
minimum.
regarding
And
tariffs
as we're kind of
taxes
pressing
situation.
higher, you know, whatever we end up doing, right? If we swing back into the weekly implied move, whatever the case is, we'll continue to watch this, how this 5-day moving average starts to flatten out and how price consolidates the move. Okay. So this would be considered really day one, at least as of right now, we still got time left, day one of the attempted rally, right? So if we go into charts and we go into the daily here, this would be considered the low, and this would be day one. And now if you follow, you know, William O'Neill's research, which I do to help me find bottoms, at least give me more confidence, right? This is what's interesting about counting for a follow-through day is, you know, the hit rate is like, the accuracy is only like 50% or so. However, 100% of the times coming out of a correction, you get a follow-through day, right? So it's something that can give you indication that, hey, this could be it. But it's not that strong of a signal, but it does happen 100% of the times outside of market corrections. So it's important to continue to watch it. So what would that look like? Well, we have the low right here. We have day one, okay, and then day 3 through 7 or something like that, right? Or 4 through 7 or whatever you want to do. Day 4 through 7. If we have a day that goes 1.25% or higher on stronger volume than the day prior, that would be considered our follow-through day and gives you it gives you kind of insight that you can add more exposure, more capital back into the markets if you're trying to buy the dip or so. So that would be the confirmation. Doesn't mean it has to obviously last, but that's typically when you can feel a little bit more confident. The other thing that I use is just the direction of the 5-day moving average, right? So right now, am I super confident? Not really. Right, we're still declining right here.
Right? U.S. envoy and NSC statement says U.S. presented a bridge proposal to extend the ceasefire in Gaza.
I'm not super confident by any means, but this is what we've been waiting to see, for price action to go sideways, for the 5-day moving average to catch down, and then potentially start to flatten out, right? And then start to see a potential change in trend. So that's step one, which we're still declining right now, and then step two on that, for the market conditions, is to be back above the gamma flip line. And the gamma flip line at this current moment, let me actually update it just to make sure. 58.51. That didn't sound right. That didn't sound right at all. I don't think that's loaded correctly. I'm gonna have to check on this one at end of day when it fully loads, because this morning it was 57.30. I don't think it's 58.51. It sounds off. But in the small case that it is 58.51, we'll get that updated, and it's going to be up here. So it would mean we're still well into negative gamma territory.
Proposed extension would go beyond Ramadan and Passover. The proposed extension would allow time to negotiate a framework for a permanent ceasefire.
What's up, Savage? So Gamma Flip data I pull from Gamma Labs. I also have that in TradyTix. Gamma Lab is this right here, and it has all kinds of data. It's
here from
a low price,
Rubio
very
announced visa restriction
good data.
For
It's like $15 for the month.
Uyghurs to China.
And then I have a 50% off coupon if you want it. And it's like $7, and you get for
Further here from the NSC.
At least I think it's still active.
Proposal must be implemented.
I haven't talked to the guy for a while, so I don't know if it's still active.
Israeli citizen Alexander must be released immediately.
TradyTix, the Gamma Flip line. So if you're in the Discord, there's a command that you can type in. But if you're in TradyTix, I don't exactly know where it's at. I think you have to pull up SPX in the options portion, I think it is, and then it will show you the gamma chart, and it'll show like next expiration flip and total flip. If that makes sense. Let's see if I can. I forget the command right out of the gate. I'd have to look it up. At least in the query channel. I forget the command.
All right. Let's go ahead and hop into, I want to see kind of what NQ looks like around here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this collar up over here. Just give us the idea of these numbers. And then I want to see over here kind of where we stand. So see this little blue line over here? Actually, it looks like it's still important. That was, I believe, way back over here, the CPI data. Believe it or not. On, I think that was it, March 7th? Was that when we got our CPI data? What event was this? Go into the calendar. No, that wasn't it. Go last week. Non-farm payrolls. Okay, payrolls. This week was CPI. March 12th. Okay. So I don't really need that right now, but it looks like it's still important. So jobs day, so we're above the VWAP on jobs on NQ. So if I come back over here to where we currently are, this is just a 1-minute chart, so it's very micro. Beep, 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 beep. Surprisingly, it still mattered. NQ, right, out of its 30-second opening range, we tagged into that VWAP, and then we finally got above it, and we're starting to hold. I'm going to go ahead and remove this because I don't find it necessary right this moment. I'm going to go into a tick chart or smaller chart, 30-second. See if we can see any sort of setups here. Nah, not really too clean for me. Okay. We'll pull up some individual names and see if anything else sets up on here in the futures market for any futures traders. Tesla earlier today. I like to look at these smaller time charts. So Tesla's looking like it's trying to make a turn here too. So a little bit earlier, for those that might be in the Discord channel, in the swing trading portion of it, swing trade channel or the swing trading pit channel, I posted this one at like 7:43, just letting everyone know that, you know, it's fighting its 5 DMA. It was about right here, but it's starting to try to make a turn over here. And Tesla has been one that's been.
US will respond accordingly if the deadline passes.
Tesla's one that's got just completely smashed, right? It got completely smashed. So I've been looking for this thing to start to find some sort of relief. And we're starting to kind of get into that realm where we may be seeing a change, potential change in trend here. We're currently trading at the point of control, right? So if we can start breaking up, maybe 260 up to the value line around 270. We're still in a declining 5-day moving average, but we did pull back into it. It's finding some strength, and we're kind of getting hung up right here, which happens to be
Boeing BA does appoint Don Ruman as new Chief Aerospace Safety Officer,
which happens to be where we had that big 15% down day in Tesla. So I like the low, right? I like the higher low, right? We're getting a higher low. So if this can kind of, break out, maybe, try to fill this gap, come back in a bit, while the 5-day moving average starts to flatten out, it could be a little bit cleaner of a setup. But right now, it's so far it's constructive. Right? So what would make it less constructive, right, is if it breaks down from this and sucks back underneath the 5-day moving average and starts curling back down, right? So if you go long, I think that the ideal stop would be probably under this low, this swing low right here. So you can probably execute like that. And if you were trying to be a little bit more, if you really think it's going to take off from where it's at, maybe today's low, right? Where you just have a higher probability of getting stopped out typically. Apple is another one that I've been keeping an eye on. I was going to enter in a little bit more, but I chose not to yesterday, just given the context of the overall market. We'll take a look at where it stands within its vol range today, but the other day, it wasn't this day, it was the day prior, it got underneath its vol range, and we basically, I took a little stab at it at its daily low, and now we're basically right back where basically flat on the entry. Because this one has also got pretty hit hard, and sometimes we can see reflexive bounce backs, and I was kind of watching this line here
as kind of another area for re-entry, but I just only took a small position there given the context of everything here. And this one's relatively weak as well, comparably to some of these other names. Nvidia. All right, so this is what I like to see, these potential changes and trends. Now it's turning green, right? Yesterday, we started seeing it consolidate, and then we got follow through today.
New Canadian PM Carney, following being sworn in, he does note the government to improve affordability and make Canada more secure.
Energy, XLE, seeing a pretty big move today, and this one's outperforming the S&P 500. So once again, not really my favorite thing to see. Because when energy outperforms the S&P 500, historically, that's actually not a good sign for the S&P 500. Now, is it outperforming by a wide margin? Not really. So can this be one actually, if S&P 500 and these other names are going to perform good, can you potentially fade actually energy? And I think that could be an option if you are more of the bullish belief here. But right now, I'd say for me personally, I'm focusing pretty much just on long positions. Thanks, no one. You don't need so on in the Discord, you don't need a subscription to TradyTix. I bought the subscription for my Discord. You don't get like everything that you would get from TradyTix and paying 70 or 80, whatever dollars a month it is. But you do get like all the bots, right? So you get the Scout bot, Bullseye bot, the option flow stuff. And then you have the query channel that has like a list of commands and stuff. I mean, I've seen other people put this in their servers, right? And they charge $30, $40 a month for their stuff. I charge like $9 a month and you get this, right? And it could be helpful, might not be, you play with it. It's a tool, it gives you more data. It is what it is. Okay. God, this looks all different in here for being streaming on YouTube for me. Hey, what's up, Base Flyer? How's it going?
And a bit further here from Khan, he does know he hopes to have a call with Trump, but doesn't have a plan to do so.
Thanks, Old Testament. That was the goal. That was my goal, is to make it a low cost, but provide a bunch of stuff in there, a bunch of value to make it feel like it's just like kind of one of those things. Like, why not pay the $9? I mean, I wanted it to even be a point where, even if you're not using it on a daily basis, you can always check in to see what's new or, look something up really quick or whatever the case may be. Right. And not have to like worry about like, oh, this thing is $150 a month or $100, $200 a month. I gotta especially if you're not using it and it costs an arm and a leg, like, well, so that was the point of it. It's not an alert service either, by the way. Some of the bots in there kind of give like alerts and stuff, but that's through TradyTix. But it's not an alert service. I'm not sitting there, get in, get out, get in, get out. It's not what I do. All right, so NQ kind of still going flat here. We're back above the JPM collar. That's cool. Good stuff. SPY's up about 1.97%. We can pull up some individual names. We'll go to the daily time frame. There was a couple of names that I was watching, right? We'll take a look at them. ATRO. I was in, I was out, I was in, I was out. Not really that much, but ATRO was just a beautiful little flag over here. And we're kind of breaking out today.
Seeing the latest New York Fed reverse repo operation does accept 126 billion across 29 bidders. Does compare to Thursday's 113 billion, also across 29 bidders.
All right. ATRO was one. Still looks pretty sharp here. I would have a stop under here if you're long ATRO. Let's think. HTHC was another one that I posted, and this one. Why does this look different? This doesn't look right.
Something's wrong here. Something is just not right on this chart. HTHT, this day right here does not look correct actually. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that it came down and then it gapped up. That's confusing to me. Huh. That's very weird. Because yesterday it had a down day. I'm not too sure what's going on there. That's, I don't know. I wouldn't. I'd look at this on another platform right now because this was down here the other day. Weird. Okay, I'm gonna pull up some of my tight list names, and then if you want to drop some tickers in the chat, we can pull some various ones up there too as well. Okay. Right now, I'm drinking some coffee. I needed some earlier this morning. I was over at the gym working out. Little gym sesh, little gym class. VGLT chart isn't right on TOS either. Yeah, something's off. So now, you know. Do I have the indicator for the 5 DMA in the Discord? Yes, I do. HTHC shows correct on TradingView. We might need to start using some TradingView then right now. Okay, we'll look up MRK. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop over to TradingView just because I don't like how that just happened. I'm not too sure what's going on right now. And we'll do that. So what we'll do is I'll look at a daily time frame on the left, and then I'll do a 30-minute time frame on the right. And we can do kind of a multi-time frame analysis on some various names. Bench, I haven't benched for a long time. I do more, yeah, I just haven't benched for a long time. I don't even know. Probably, I mean, like stress, like bench, like, you know, try to like put up, I could probably do 225, you know, if I push my limits, but more comfortably, probably just my body weight, 160-ish, probably fairly easy multiple times, you know. Today's workout was 20 minutes long, did about 25 deadlifts at 225, and then cleans at 135, 25 of those. Then I did some 50 cals on the bike, or sorry, 50 cals on the rower, and then I did 15 wall walks, which is basically where you walk your legs up the wall and you have to move your hands all the way back. So that was 20 minutes. Yeah, no, I could definitely bench that. It would not be hard for me. Yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't be hard for me. Surprisingly enough, I'm fairly strong with this stuff. I do lift pretty heavy, but I work out a lot of other stuff. So like I do various other stuff. Yeah, sure. I'll film it. Every time that I film some of my workouts, though, people just like, it's kind of annoying because people are like, this is not how you do it. Like as if they're like a professional like trainer or something, which they never are. And then they always look like shit too when they talk shit. It's always the ones that look like shit that probably don't put in the work, that always know proper form. You know what I'm saying? It's always the case. Best thing you did was quit the gym. Yeah, I don't, the gym that I go to, it's not like a gym with mirrors sort of thing. It's like a, it's like a warehouse. Okay, let's pull up some of these names. Sorry. What's up, Sal? Hey, Sal Goodman. Oh, I remember seeing you in the comments there. Permabear? I don't know. I feel like people don't quite understand or watch my shows if they think I'm a permabear, or they're definitely not in the Discord because I haven't taken a short position since like 2022, basically. So I'm not too sure. And then if you can always go to the United States Investing Championship website. If I was short, you know, I wouldn't have had the 45% year last year, which is verified third party by somebody who also traded in, you know, a familiar name, Paul Tudor Jones, was verified by the same person. Okay. RGTI. Somebody had mentioned RGTI. So put the tickers in the chat. We'll pull up these individual names. You know, it was only a matter of time before we started seeing some of these names pop. You know, a few of them that we've been mentioning was like, and I'm interested to see what they look like today, was NNE and Oklo. We're basically saying like, hey, these things, like, right, if we look at 2025, and you put in their year-to-date VWAPs, we were looking at basically, you can see probably pops up to these, and it'd be 30, 40% gains. So yeah, we're seeing a pretty nice pop here in RGTI. It's up 20% on the day. What does it look like right now? 30-minute time frame. It's consolidating, right? We're just consolidating it. Overall, what's the chart look like on the daily? I mean, we're breaking out of this consolidation, right? So if you're in it, you know, you might want to have a stop underneath the low. But the thing with this is on the daily time frame, if it doesn't have a very clean setup, which it really doesn't right now, you want to look at the more smaller time frames or trade it like when it's a stock that's quote unquote in play. Right, you can be a little bit more tactical on it.
I'm seeing some comments here from Francis Macron.
If you think that this thing is going to be taken off,
now accept the US and Ukraine's 30-day ceasefire proposal.
If you think that this thing is going to be taken off, right, where would your stop be? Well, underneath the low of the day or like under this low, but you got to understand that that's minus 32%. So most cases, you can't take a full position in a 32% loss on a name like this. But if you think that it's going to be going to these prior highs, you know, that's over 100% gain. So you can take a smaller position. And if you lose 33%, right, it's a smaller position. So it doesn't do the type of damage that a bigger position would in your portfolio. And it'll allow you to deal with the volatility that comes with these names, right? So there's RGTI, NNE. All right, so this one's up a bit on the day here too.
New Canadian PM
the reason why I was looking at this one was because how it was just getting very tight over here, and we started talking about it on the trend break. And we're saying basically a stop at the low, right? So if you play this and then see where it goes, and then you could always update your stop as time progresses. The 5-day moving average over here, this thing's a slop fest, not a clear read, but we are seeing the higher lows, the higher high. So, you know, see where it goes, see how it consolidates. And then Oklo is probably the same situation. Oklo hasn't really moved that much. This one's up. I mean, it's crazy because look at it doesn't look like it moved much, but that's 11%.
EU trade representative.
And then over here, look at the 5-day moving average. It's now starting to turn and starting to flag out. So, you know, Oklo for me looks pretty clean, right? These higher lows getting consolidating. So maybe if we can hold, just pull in a little bit more, see some strength, and then break this high at probably around 27 and some change. Sets up for a potential move with the 5-day moving average to kind of catch up here. And then maybe we do pop, right? But the same thing, the same story goes here on Oklo is, you know, if you have a stop at the low of the day, that's minus 6%. So the probabilities of getting stopped out just at low of day tomorrow, right? You know, they're kind of high. So if you go a little bit lower, that's minus 12%. So you need to back into that risk and say, hey, you know, what amount in dollar terms am I willing to risk on a name like this? Because it's going to be minus 12%, so or minus 3.36 per share, right? So $3.36 per share. Say if you're willing to lose, you know, a few $100, right? You would do the math and kind of back into that. Let's see here. Hey, Conquer. What's going on? This is Conquer from Twitch, right? 69 Conquer. Hey, thanks, Derek. If you don't find it worth it, then you're out $9. That's very true. That's very true. We'll pull up Coin. We'll pull up Wolf. GE. I see XLF. XLF is actually going lower. Is XLF down on the day? Oh, no. Okay, you're just saying basically it'll go lower. Okay. Yeah, MRK. What's up, Varma? Consumer sentiment data today. Yeah, Varma, good question on the consumer sentiment. It's not good, right? But there's a great book that really illustrates this. It's talking about, what's the name of the book? Give me a second. Here, come to me in my library really quick. All right. It's called The Confidence Map by Peter Atwater, and there is actually a really good illustration. I've been kind of burning through this book here. And it breaks it up right over here, and it gives a really good illustration of about sentiment in what people do in low sentiment. All right, so I'm not going to explain it fully. Hold on, I'm trying to switch back. Okay, I'm not going to try to explain the entirety of it, but really what it's kind of mapping out here in this box format is your level of control over here, and then over here is your level of certainty. And when people are, more towards, this quadrant of the box over here, it's basically saying you have low control of what's going on and low certainty. And that's kind of where we are in the grand scheme of things for the economy. And what sentiment data is telling us today is that people are uncertain about economic conditions, right? And they don't feel like they have a good control of it. And here's where it gets interesting, is you could only be in that category for so long and so far, because when your sentiment is like that, you start doing things that's necessary to get more into that comfort zone, to get higher control, to get higher certainty. So when it comes to sentiment data, when you get these very, very low readings, sometimes then you can start to look for the alternative or the flip, like things to actually get better because of whatever it might be, X, Y, Z, and so forth. So I think that, I think it's a killer book. So if you want to read the book, it's well worth it. And so that's kind of my thought right now, right? So my thought is things are bad, and when things get really bad, you start to do things, and people start to do things to feel better about the situations, to get themselves back into more of a controlled state and more of higher certainty. Hope that helps. Okay, MRK. Let's go through these, and I'm going to go through my my list too. MRK, I'm not a huge fan of some of these healthcare names right now. We're getting a nice bounce back, but after some extreme sell-off, and it's been in a very, very, big downtrend. So it's not like something that's been really on my radar. And as far as a 30-minute time frame goes, we're starting to turn back around over here. So, hey, if it sets itself back up, right? I don't have the 200-day moving average on my screen. It helps me identify just the direction of the trend a little bit better. Here we go, right? So MRK, we're above the year-to-date VWAP. I guess that's positive. We're below the 200-day. Let me add on a little bit more elements here just so I can kind of see. All right. And then we have a 50-day moving average still declining and the 20-day sloping up. So, it still has a lot of work to do to prove itself, but if we can hold up into these areas and maybe base more around here and start to get these averages to start to turn up, it'll help the medium term and the shorter term trend to potentially get up and try to retest the larger trend. But right now, this would be one that I look at and I'm like, hey, if you want to go long it, just be aware that you're going to be swimming up a river. You'll have good days where you feel strength, but you'll have days where you kind of suck back down, right? Look at right here, right? Good days followed by, weakness. Good days followed by weakness, right? Good days, you get the picture. SE. So this one's in a much better trend, right? SE is in a much better trend. It's actually, surprisingly enough, holding up pretty well with all this market volatility, and that's a positive sign to see. So, I'm a fan of it. Is it set up right now? We're pulling back, a little bit here. So as long as we can kind of hold this trend, right? Maybe if we break it and come up, like it's still a pretty positive look here. We're below the 20-day, right? It's starting to kind of roll over. That's not nearly as important. What's more important to me is that we hold this year-to-date VWAP. So I'm saying I'd be bullish above the year-to-date VWAP. If we start cracking below it and get under the 50-day, you know, then I'd be a significantly more cautious in the position itself. But right now, I mean, pretty bullish trend. Yeah, it looks pretty strong. If I go to the 5-day moving average, look at, we're trying to get back above it, right? So it's declining here. We're consolidating pretty nicely, pretty tightly, right? So if we can get above it and this starts turning back around, maybe it opens the door to come retest, you know, this little gap up here at about 135 to 136 with you know, pretty clear areas of risk. TER, I'm gonna go through the list here. So TER, Teradyne. Yeah, not a huge fan when you get these big. Well, I'm assuming this is news driven. So this one, like if it's an in play name, maybe it'd be more of an intraday type of trade. Let me see what it looks like on intraday. Yeah, it looks like it's liquid enough to trade intraday. Today it came down to its lower vol range, held up right above its daily VWAP. If I look at the 15-minute time frame, still got time, right? So right now, you know, I wouldn't know where to put my risk. It's just not one of those A+ type of setups for me, let alone even a B, right? So if I was long here, you know, maybe a stop down here. If you're swing trading it, and if you know something about the company and you believe it's long-term, you know, positive, you know, that's a different story. You're going to see bounces. You know, it's very possible to see bounces, but after big moves to the downside, right? You get bounces, but look what happens, right? You get bounces, but look what happened. So eventually that bleeding will, you know, sustain itself. But as it stands right now, you know, we're pretty extended from these averages. But it'd be more of a name that I just wouldn't be like, it wouldn't be like top of my watch list sort of focus, you know? Yep, no, I'm back here on YouTube. Do I think I get an interview with Peter Atwater? I have no idea how to even reach out to somebody like that. I don't think so, but maybe, you never know. I don't even know what that interview would look like, to be quite honest. It would require some big prep. Coin. Sorry, this chat is a lot different to work with than the Twitch one. It's harder to read for me. So if I miss if I miss one of the tickers, just make sure to just kind of post it here. So when it comes to like these crypto equities, I'm more focused in on when the sailor to shift tool starts to flip over. For those that don't know what that is, that's something that I put together, you know, a few years ago. It gives insight to the rate of change between Bitcoin and gold. And when I get the signals, it's caught every big rip up in the price of Bitcoin, and it's caught every big sell off in the price of Bitcoin to date. So I find it to be an incredibly important tool for getting kind of in and out of that. So as it stands right now, if I were to pull up the sailor shift tool, which I can do, let me do that. As it stands right now, this is where we're at. We're underneath this line. So we had our sell signal, sell trigger basically occur 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. Sell signal was 7 weeks ago. Then the following week, we got the trigger, basically 96,000-ish, kind of around there. We doodled around, we flushed, and then we flushed harder. And what do we see right now? We're still in a negative rate of change, albeit that it's starting to kind of turn back, right? Sometimes if it turns back, some people like to front run it. Do it however you want to do it, right? But right now, still technically on a sell signal, sell trigger. And when I look at this, like look at coin, right? It kind of followed suit. It followed with it. So I would feel much more confident that if we get a buy signal in that stuff, I'd be looking back into some of these crypto-related equities and cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum potentially. If I go to the 5-day moving average, right, we're still below a declining 5-day moving average here. So it's, to me, this is still a no-go.
even though that, hey, you might look at this and be like, but it's wedging, right? And there's probably, honestly, if you pull up an RSI, there's probably some sort of positive divergence forming too. And that's very possible where you can see pops. And if that's the case, you can play it from an intraday perspective or a shorter term perspective or intermediate term, like, right? The swing trading perspective, like a 15-minute time frame, 30-minute time frame, or if it's in play for the day, even go into something like a daily chart, intraday. So this is, when I do intraday stuff, I look at the vol range, right? We can pull up some charts with the vol range, but take a look. Came right into its upper vol range today and started backing off. This is also, this is a proprietary kind of calculation that I had put together for understanding where the market could potentially, whatever asset it is, see from an intraday perspective, kind of handicapping risk. It gives you kind of an idea. TLT, yeah, I have a position in TLT. I like the look of TLT. Right? I got it, I think, more right around here yesterday. Then we got this nice big pop for whatever reason. And now, we gapped down. We're kind of, trying to claw back a little bit. Overall, we're in this kind of flag pattern. I like it. I took a pretty decent sized position in TLT because it's not really that like a high beta. It's not like I'm, buying a big position in Oklo, right? Where it moves like this much and it's 14%, right? TLT, right, from where we currently stand to right up here, it's only 2.5%. If I brought up a chart of Oklo and made a big move like this, it'd be like 40%. So I can go a little bit higher on bond proxies as far as capital goes. But yeah, TLT, it looks like it's consolidating here, and I like that. It's above the year-to-date VWAP. Sure, right? I'm looking for that. Same with China names, right? Today, I did exit some of my China today, but it was because I was also in a leveraged play, right? So it was yin, YNN, and this is 3X China, and I got out basically, it was roughly at about 8%, so it was earlier when I got out, and we're still consolidating here. So this thing could still go higher, but when I see a big gain like this in a 3X fund, I pretty much I get out and I'll look to get back in. And if I want to get back in, I might not use the leverage portion anymore. I might just go back to like KWeb or FXI and not have to worry about any sort of decay or anything like that. So I trade these products a little bit differently. FXI, for example, let's pull up FXI. I mean, this thing we just hit another high today. This thing all these China names have been looking good. We've been talking about this, right? JD, right? We talked about this one on the other stream. Been holding up rather well. What other ones do we mention? Billy. This one's up a little bit today. Still consolidating overall, right? Pretty decent. Pinduoduo. This one started popping up a little bit more here too, right? As it was kind of flagging over here. The problem here with China names is they're very gappy. They're all over the place. And there could be news and you can wake up and it's down 30%, 20%, something crazy, right? So you do need to be a little bit more cautious. And the way to be cautious is you can go smaller amounts of capital and or potentially like go more of an ETF that can help kind of mitigate some of that overnight risk or concentrated risk, right? I still like DIY. Let's see where that's at today. This one hit a 3-year high just the other day. This is in the OTC market. So most people probably would not trade something like this, and I would completely understand. DIY was ticker symbol DIDI. This is Didi Global. It's like the Uber of China. Now they're also in Australia and probably some other areas too. I haven't looked too much into it, but this is not a small company. This is a big company, and they had some accounting fraud, I think it was, when they IPO'd over here, and it got completely smothered. And I just look at the weekly chart, right? So we're starting to break out of this massive consolidation. We're above the 10-week moving average. We're above a 30-week. We're above a 40-week. So is this the early stage of a potential markup? And what I really liked about this, too, and I've shared it many times, because I've traded it many times for like 20% pops, was on the weekly chart, right? Let's go to DIY. And this candle thing is all messed up. So I go to the raindrop chart, so it's a little bit cleaner. But
if you go and you look at the IPO VWAP way over here, we're starting to try to break from it, right? So the average buyer since the very beginning of time over here has been underwater, and now that's starting to change. So my hope here is that, and then by the way, from the swing low, we've just kind of been consolidating very tightly, pinching between these two VWAPs. My hope here is that now sentiment is going to shift a bit here, and we're going to start to see this pick up, right? It's either going to pick up and do great, or it's going to be a massive bull trap, right? It's going to just pop and then drop hard. I can see both. I can see both situations. But what I like about it is that it's just now starting to break out, and I can have a stop right down here. Pretty simple stuff, right? Nothing too overly complicated. Pretty easy to manage the trade. So that's the thought here on DI Hawaii. And then another thing to note is it's actually not been moving that good relative to other China names. I mean, it's up on the year, but some of the other China names have been getting all the attention. And that's probably because this little dud here is on the OTC market. But I would like to also note that, remember Luckin Coffee? Remember Luckin Coffee? This thing also, accounting fraud, got smashed down, right? And look at it, started to tighten up over here, right? Got above the 40-week, 30-week, 20-week, right? This was down at $5. It was even down lower. And now look at it. It's up at here, trading up at 30. It's actually moving higher. Look at this thing today. It's up 8%, right? After a nice consolidation, we're seeing pop. Actually, you know what? This was, I think, on the tight list. This week's tight list. I think it was. Maybe not. And this is another one that's, I think it's on the OTC market. Yeah. So you never know. They always have the potential to get relisted back on like something like the NASDAQ. I don't know if it's going to, right? But I don't know. I have my eye on it. It is what it is. Okay, let's go. 15-minute. We'll go back to SPY. We'll take a look at these markets here. Take a look back at the... Looks like SPY's coming in a bit here, right back to the weekly implied move. Whoa. What was that? Little candle glitch? Yeah, anybody see that? That was crazy. That was wild. Okay. We're right there back at the weekly implied move. All right, we've been there basically all day. We are holding the week to date, and we're still above the 5-day moving average. So still positive. It's just kind of doodling here, okay? You're Billy Bob on Twitch? Oh, okay. What's up, Non? Monumental. I remember Billy Bob there on Twitch. Yeah, we can take a look at Nvidia. Be sure to video you pinning Zuckerberg. Wait, what, Barkster? Got HIMS, AMD. Oh, thanks, George. Yeah, we'll look at Microsoft. I did pick up TLT, not specifically for that reason. I mean, I love the kind of the narrative and thought there, Varma, but it was more of just a technical thing, and then also it was seeing relative strength in a falling market yesterday, and I was like, it looks good technically. I figured I just start getting into it and see how it goes, and it played out for the day, and today it's down, whatever. Let's take a look at market net flow. So market net flow started to lose convergence here. We still have a nice wide divergence. So, market's kind of stalling, right? Typically when it's gray, what does that mean? It means price of SPY is not moving with the current divergence of market net flow. And you can see counter trend moves or pullbacks, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. We're still up 170 basis points on the day here. Okay. Let's take a look at Microsoft. Yeah, a lot of these names have been ripped, man. I'm gonna go back over to this.
Of note for WPP, it does lose Coca-Cola media work in North America. That's according to the FT.
So Microsoft yeah, it's below all these declining 5-day moving averages, likely to see a bounce. We're getting our bounce. It's breaking kind of from this consolidation over here to the upside. Can we get follow through? Well, we watch the 5-day moving average and see how it changes. Remember, it started to change over here, and then we started to get weakness and break from it. So is this time different? If it is, this is exactly what I would like to see. I'll show you. Okay, so first and foremost, we broke kind of through this, consolidation, whatever. Now, if we start to see a pullback into and around this point of control, which is roughly at about 384, 385, okay, that to me would actually be a positive sign, because at that time, the 5-day moving average is going to start to flatten out here
in North America
and turn up. Okay, so if we can maybe do that and then maybe undercut it, come back in, and it sets up, that to me would be a good thing. But right now at this current moment, if I were to I'm going to go long, where's my stop going to be? At the low of today's trading session? There is really no consolidation here. So, right? So we saw a big move here. It came down and we saw a higher low. Then we saw strength and then it undercut it, which we really, high, lower high, lower highs. Basically, this was a little overshoot. So I would like to see it come in and I would like to see some strength. And then I would like to see buy this strength with this 5-day moving average start to turn green here again. So I think it's good to see what we're seeing right now. Whether it leads to a bigger bounce or not is yet to be seen. But if we can pull in a little bit and then start moving, I think Microsoft would be a killer shot, right? Look at right. How far are we off from the highs, right? 17%. So a lot of these names, these large market cap names, are basically in bear market territory, and this is really where you want to have them on your radar for potential turns, right? There's plenty of times throughout history where these large market cap names go down 40, 50%. It's happened many times, okay? So there's always the possibility of it falling more. So when you want to be tactical, but make sure you're using the right time frame to be tactical and that you have risk management practices in place. And eventually you'll catch a big move, right? But you don't want to take, death of 1,000 cuts. So you want to be patient and wait for, the best opportunities when the trend is on your side. Right? And whatever you determine as trend is on you, right? So let's go over here, look at intraday. Okay, intraday, we came into the upper vol zone right over here. We got rejected a bit. We came back. It's starting to act as actually a level of support, surprisingly. So where are we now? We're actually outside of it. So once again, I'm not really comfortable buying outside of the vol range like this. I would prefer to see that kind of pullback and consolidation if it gives it to us, right? If it gives it to us, that's what I would like to see. Doesn't mean it has to. It really doesn't. Okay. Okay. Hymns. Yeah, we'll go pull up hymns. Hymns. And just another one of these volatile names. It's up ever so slightly. Today is an inside trading day as it stands right now. So, one of the basic principles of technical analysis, markets move between expansion and contraction. This was an expansionary move to the downside, right? Even over here, you had an inside trading day. And once we broke the low of it, you saw a flush down. Boom, right? So today, we're getting an inside trading day right now. We still have plenty of time left in the day. So if we start breaking the high maybe tomorrow, maybe today, we'll see where we close. That could be an expansionary move back up to the upside. So I'd go into the 15-minute time frame. I'd be like, okay, right? Or, are we setting up here? Well, the 5-day moving average, it's starting to flatten out, right? We're averaging this data, this day, this day, this day, and this day. These are the 5 days that we're averaging. So tomorrow, right, when we start averaging this data, we're going to not average this data. So if we can stay within this range, the 5-day moving average is going to start pulling in and flattening out and potentially give us some sort of a setup. So that goes to my thought.
Outlook now expects 1.6% GDP growth in 2025. Down from the prior 1.9%. It does cite a few reasons such as policy uncertainty, new US tariffs raising prices and slowing spending, and foreign retaliatory tariffs hurting exports.
So the thought here, let me go, give me a second. Okay, so the thought here would be if we can start breaking today's high, and maybe, do a little dance, make a little love over here with the 5-day moving average and start breaking back above it, that could be an early potential change in trend. And you might be able to get some sort of a nice pop there. So you got the inside trading day, you have the 5-day moving average starting to flatten out here. Now we just need some confirmation in price, and maybe that gives us a good opportunity to catch a couple points to the upside. So that's how I would approach HIMS. Sorry. So, okay. Well, gosh, this new chat box is messing me. Not my chart. Be sure to video you pinning Zuckerberg. I don't. Wait, what do you mean by? Well, is that an older text? I can't remember if I already asked that question. Glitch. Okay, yeah, no, I did. Okay, serve. Okay, we'll go to serve. I want to go. Maybe if I make it bigger. AMD, Palantir, Groupon, thoughts on BA. Maybe if I just bring up Notepad, I can write my own notes here of this. So I got HIMS, okay. AMD, okay, I'll go AMD. That seems to be pretty popular. Okay, we'll go AMD. All right, let's go look at AMD. Yeah, so AMD on the 15-minute time frame looks good, right? Look at the purple line, starting to flatten out here. Right? That synthetic 5-day moving average starting to curl back up. Price is above it. We're holding point of control. Price action's getting tight. Right? So this to me is positive. If I'm going long, it'd be a stop under today's low. If I wanted to give it more space, it'd actually be right under here. Right? Which is, how big of a drop is that? 3%. That's plenty. That's perfect to take on a position. If I go to the daily time frame, right, it's still below a declining 20-day, 50-day, 200-day. So the thing has got beaten and brutalized, but that doesn't mean that we can't see a pop at some point. All right. So if you're trying to swing trade this and catch a bottom, you've been unsuccessful, right? This is it. This is it. Nope, it's not. This is it now. No, it's not. This is it. No, that's not. Right. This is it. No, that's not. This is it. No, it's not. You get my point? It's a series of lower highs and lower lows, so you need to treat it as such. When you're playing and you're swimming up a river, you need to be more tactical. So when you go to these smaller time frames, right, although it's changing on the shorter term, you're going against the bigger trend, okay? So it is good to see the consolidation finally, and if the market wants to rip, if semiconductors pick up, these ones can very well benefit from it. But just don't get greedy, because if you're greedy and you don't manage risk along the way, say it pops up to 109 and all of a sudden flops right back down like it has on those larger time frames, that's something to be aware of. So for example, right? So if you enter right now and you have a stop under today's low and say, if it breaks today's low, I'm going to get out, I'll revisit it the next day, right? Small risk, just quick hit. Okay. Maybe it holds. And then you're like, okay, if it holds, I'm going to go ahead and actually give it some more space here and see what it can do, right? Maybe that's the option. Or you do this and you go along, and if it follows through and you get a nice big bullish green day, boom, the next day, you can put a stop underneath that low and then you could trail it up, right? So think through the plan, think through the strategy, what works best for you, and focus on risk first. Once you focus on risk first, you say, I'm willing to lose $100 on this trade, $200, $500, $14,000, $1 million trillion. I don't really know. Whatever you feel comfortable with. Okay. And then get in your mind that you've already lost the money because it's an expense to the business of inventory, right? You're buying a piece of inventory and either you're going to lose or you're going to win, right? So once you think about like, hey, I'm going to spend XYZ on this and it could go completely to zero, whatever, cool. Then execute the trade and say, if it goes to XYZ, I'm going to pull up a little bit of profits, maybe comes to 103, right? Back to this previous high, boom, I'm going to take a little bit off. Or if it gets up here, I'm going to update my stop to break even. However you plan on managing that risk. You got to still focus on those 4 things you can control. That's what you buy, which would be AMD. When you buy it, which means the timing mechanism, how much you buy it, which means the position sizing, and then when you're going to sell it, which is pretty much the most important part of all of it, is how you manage the trade, and you do so with thinking about these if-then type of scenarios, and then execute, right? Make a plan, trade the plan, you're done. Pretty cool. APP. Yeah, so, okay, this is a good example of why I watch for the change in trend of the 5-day moving average. So take a look, right? We started getting back above it the other day, Wednesday and Thursday, and the 5-day moving average started to curl around here. Okay, and then we started to kind of pop up and we had some follow through. So if you played this and you had to stop at the low, congratulations. Now maybe you update the stop. Right, look at the daily time frame. This one got completely obliterated. So for me, this could still be, more of a bear flag forming. Right, so be aware, context. I know it's easy to look at the daily chart and be like, I'm going to enter here and I'm going to play it back up to here. But the problem here is once you start moving up in that direction, you don't want to see your profits go red. Right? So you start to, worry about it. So if you are playing it from a daily chart, what you'll watch is the year-to-date VWAP, that purple line, the blue line, and the green line. They're all in confluence. So if we come way up here, just understand that it can go higher, but sometimes that is going to be the level of resistance or potential resistance, right? Sometimes it breaks through and comes back in, and it takes some time to consolidate and so forth. So I would mark those levels on your screen from a larger period, and then just be aware that we are starting to kind of change that shorter term trend there, okay? TTD, Palantir. I think Palantir is kind of the same thing here. Yeah, Palantir has been very choppy in and around these. So I'll look at the daily time frame. Starting to kind of break this little trend here too, and this is coming in back in to test. I would imagine we would probably see this retest year-to-date VWAP at some point. So if you're long Palantir and you're thinking about, this is potential from a swinger trading perspective, from a larger time perspective. If you played this breakout, your stop would probably be down here, which is minus 12%. So sometimes people would update that a little bit on the 15-minute time frame. I'd like to see the 5-day moving average catch up a bit here, and then see kind of how it consolidates further up ahead. This one's rather choppy on the smaller chart, so I think I'd focus more on the larger time frame, and then I would scale the position accordingly on a larger chart. Market net flow right now, still bullish, but we lost convergence, so this is kind of where markets can stall out, consolidate. Okay, so nothing's much different there. TTD. What is this? The trade desk. Jeez, this thing got absolutely mauled. This is why you got to be careful here. So you had a bearish earnings move, which was just insane. People are like, now I'm going to buy the dip, right? What happened? This is down 34% after earnings. Before earnings, it's down 56% from this high. Holy hell. It's down 62% in a very, very short period of time. Let's go to the weekly chart. Oh my gosh. This is just full-blown crash. I don't know if something bigger is at play here. That's crazy. I would 100% be afraid to step into that. But you probably will see this thing. I'm assuming that you'll see this thing bounce at some point, and it'll be like, 20% higher, 30%. But even on a bounce, all right, where you can still get these rips to the downside. This has been just the most steady sell side activity. So timing it. So this is how, if you're trying to play this stuff. So for example, I do play extended moves. This would be to me pretty extended. So when I look at this, I'd be like, okay, how do I want to execute into this? Because it still looks like I can go down from here. So the way that I would do it, right? First and foremost, I would never take a full position in something like this. So I would say, maybe I'll do 3% of capital, maybe more, right? So I'd execute 1%. And I was like, if it comes down to, 40 or 45, maybe I'll execute another percent to scale it in, right? Because we are going to get a bounce. A bounce will happen. I don't know what the news is here or what's going on. So I'd have to look at that before, feeling more confident. But then I would approach it from that perspective, where I would not go a full-size position and then double my position and then double my position, right? I would not do that on a name like this, because chances are you can get caught up in it, and then by the time that you're, by the time that it's going to bounce, you're about ready to puke the position, and then it's going to rip off into your face. And then you're going to try to catch it up, and then it's going to face right back down. That's what happens in these type of moves. So you got to be very, very, very particular and tactical in these type of approach. That's crazy. That's so crazy. Let's take a look at Deckers, because Deckers did the same thing. Right? Look at this. Bam! Is it up today? It's down today too. Oh wait, no, is it up? What is going on with my stuff? What is going on with my charting? Is Thinkorswim just like completely off on everything? What's going on here? Give me a second. Yeah, so it's up, but on Thinkorswim it shows down. What is going on? I keep running into charts that are incorrect. All right, what name was it that we just talked about? TTD? Yeah, okay, that one was accurate, I think. Jeez, man, that is brutal. But yeah, so back to Deckers. I mean, just look at that thing. They're gumming for it. Whatever happened to Home Depot? Did that bounce? Trying to. Yeah, Home Depot fell off a cliff. Oh my goodness. App 11. I pulled up App 11, right? Target. Yeah, Target was another one. Look at that. Wow. That I don't know. I still get things in my bank statement saying that we're spending too much at Target. It's pretty brutal here. It's a very, very big move. The 2020 low, you're saying that it's kind of coming into? It's not too far off. This was the pandemic, right? Over here. Am I tripping? Right? 2020, 2019. I forget. Wild. Hey, these are where sometimes fortunes could be made. It's hard to step into this type of stuff. So if you ever build positions in like big companies, kind of bellwether type names, you start small, you start, methodical, because a lot of these like funds carry these names, right? It's not gonna change unless they really kind of go out of business. They no longer hold them. But the number of funds, right? There's a large number of funds that hold Target, right? Okay. That's crazy. Yeah, there's just some crazy stuff here. Yeah, Thinkorswim's messed up today. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Brokerages. Hey, what's up, Matt? Matthew? How's it going, man? Nobody, if you guys don't follow Matthew on Twitter, make sure to drop your Twitter link there, Matt. You're always posting some cool stuff. Yep, Elliot, we're over here on YouTube. I'm going to try to do multicasting, but right now I'm kind of back on YouTube, checking things out, right? Shopify. Yeah, let's go to Shopee. Yeah, all these names look super good, right? They all look really good, and we're probably going to be getting some bounces here in the near future, right? But they've all gotten hit, right? So if we take a look here, well, let's change that up a little bit. Let's make it blue. So Shopify is coming into, a little area where it's kind of bounced from before. And if I draw out another line, you can just see a pretty steep trend over here. So it's a whatever type of pattern. I don't know what the hell you want to call that. There's a pretty steep trend to the downside. But when I zoom over here to the 30-minute time frame, still a declining 5-day moving average, but we're trying to get back above it, right? So if we can pop through it, maybe this flattens out, we'll come in, see the higher lows, and then it'll give us a better kind of execution and an idea of where to manage risk, right? So if you go long right now, where would your stop be? I mean, if you're trying to be very tactical, it'd be under today's low. If you want to give it more space, under here. And then you're basically speculating that the trend will be changing, but it hasn't yet, right? So that means that you're trying to prove the market that you're correct versus let the market prove what it's going to do and you join the party, right? So there's pros and cons to both. The pro in starting early and trying to prove that you're correct is that you get a better entry price if you're right? The con, the con to this is the market hasn't proved itself. So the probabilities over time, you'll probably be wrong more frequently. So you got to make sure that you manage risk, because if you don't and you let the loss go out of hand, then it could really wreck a portfolio. The con also is you don't get a better entry, but the pro to that, right? The pro to doing that way would be that the market would be proving itself to you that, hey, this could be the bigger change in trend. So you're not catching a better price, but you might be in the ride for a longer period, right? So you don't need to catch the exact bottom bottom or top on anything that you trade, but you can catch, you can still take a bite out of whatever the trend may be, right? If you go, I don't know. I'm trying to think of another analogy, but I really can't.
Of note for Apple, ticker AAPL. The company's Siri chief does call delay ugly in a meeting and promises fixes. That's according to Bloomberg.
That's according to Bloomberg. What is VGLT?
And further here from the exec, does criticize the move to promote not ready AI features.
Vanguard long-term treasury ETF. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. VGLT. It's like TLT. It looks pretty similar, but Vanguard. Cool. Yeah, Paco, what's up? The TGT kind of similar to the Dollar Tree right now. Yeah. Google. Yeah, let's pull up Googie. So Google right now, it's fighting with the declining 5-day moving average. And then it's also, I would say the price action is getting rather tight over here, right? So it really does have to go back to proving itself here on the smaller time frames. So if you're going in long right now, just be aware you're once again, you're trying to prove the market that you're correct versus waiting for the market to prove itself to you. A lot of times, man, it's just easier to trade like when the market has to prove itself to you and you don't need to prove yourself. I mean, think about it. Doesn't that sound easy? It sounds easy. Now, if you look at the daily time frame, yeah, we're getting tight here and it's kind of wedging. I bet you if I threw like an RSI or something on here, actually, let's do it. I'll go to Google here. I'm not fast with TradingView, but I'm much better here with Thinkorswim. I'm still kind of learning TradingView. Yeah, so take a look. So you got the low and you got a higher low. You got lower price action. So a low, a lower low, a low, a higher low. So yeah, this is, if you're looking at this on the daily chart, you'd be like, hey, we got a positive divergence, right? Price kept on going lower, but it's not being confirmed by an indicator such as the RSI. And many times you can see actually bullish moves from this. So if we get a bullish move, where can we go? I would say watch the gap fill. 170 to 173, 173 to 175, or retest the 200-day moving average. So, if you play this, what would it look like? About a 6% move up to there with a stop at about 2%, 2.3%. That's a pretty good risk to reward, right? So if you're not looking at the intraday time frame and waiting for confirmation, that's how I would approach Google, right? Your risk would be right here with a high probability of getting stopped out, but the reward, it's like 3 to 1, right? 1, 2, 3 versus 1 risk unit, right? So you get a high probability of getting stopped out, but if you actually do trade this and it goes all the way to up here, maybe even higher, who knows? That's why I don't really like targets, but I like to structure my trades kind of, like this. There you go, We got Uber. So there's Google. We got Uber. I want to roll with X. Yeah. Groupon. Yeah, Groupon. So let me go Uber and then I'll do Groupon. Uber's actually finally pulling back a bit. Uber pissed me off. Uber, this happens when we slip in a negative gamma. And oh man, what did I just do? I knew it was going to happen too. This sucked. So I was looking at it basically right here, and this is what happens. You get fake outs and shakeouts. So price action gets very tight, and sometimes you get a very clear expansion of volatility in your direction, and it moves. On this case, it broke down and it shook me out. And then when it was coming back, it came back with a vengeance. And I was like, man, should I enter back in? Nah. And then it broke down again. I'm like, okay, well, good thing. And then it came back. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, I'm just not going to enter in. And then it fired off. I'm like, ew. So this happens, right? Price action gets very tight. And instead of just being a clean move, you get a big shakeout, fake out, whipsaw, boom, it comes to hit your target. So now, right, if I were to restructure this, right, I'd be looking at it more like this. Right? So, and these, by the way, these VWAPs over here, right? These VWAPs, this is from this swing high over here. We broke this trend. So it's basically right there. And this, I can remove this. And then maybe even go from, maybe even this low. Let's see what happens there. Yeah, so nope. Yep, there we go. So now from this swing high and this swing low, price is holding up on it. So for Uber, for my opinion, right, I look at the 5-day moving average over here. It is still declining. So it's not actually really my favorite right here, but I'm well aware that it does this crap. So if it comes in a little bit, shakes around, the 5-day moving average starts to flatten out. But as long as we can hold over here, this low, then I'd be looking good. And then you might look at this as like a kind of a wedge, you know, so you get a big strong move here, it wedges down, flags. I like it, right? So chances are the market has to move higher too, though, because this seems like it's pretty correlated to the S&P 500. So if the S&P 500 continues to go flat or sell off or whatever, it could follow that order flow. But overall, I would put this as a pretty good setup, actually. This is one that I might actually share in trade ideas. I don't feel confident right now, but it's a pretty clean setup, so good call out. Uber, that was Uber. Groupon. Did we do Groupon already? Is this a meme stock? Groupon, yeah, this is all over the place. Is it? All right, so earnings popped it up. So, okay. On specifically on these type of names, on earnings plays, I always wait for the consolidation. So boom, earnings came, bam, we saw a nice big move. Let me get this RSI off my screen. Okay, boom, we saw the nice move. So now, when we get a powerful earnings move, what I like to do is I like to just kind of wait to see how it consolidates, right? So for example, ATRO, right? This is just the most recent example. You get a big earnings move, boom, sometimes you get follow through, and then I wait for the consolidations. And then I look for the follow through. All right, so Groupon, what I would wait for is to see where this thing could go. This is an expansionary move, so I'm not interested in it right now. And I want to see how it sets back up. If it flags, if it goes up higher, see some volatility or whatever, and then start to look for potential strength thereafter to play.
Cobra, Panama, it does say it is ready to start.
Because if I enter right now,
suspend the arbitration,
I might have to wait through a consolidation, even though it might go off longer. So I prefer, because if I go long right now, where's my stop going to go? Down here? That might look good in hindsight, but over the course of time, right? If I do this for years, that's the plan, to continue to do this for longer periods of time, I'm going to have capital locked in trades when they do go through periods of consolidation, and I don't really like to do that. I like to get my money in for the quick move, and then I'd like to get out, right? Or get out most of the capital and then let it go and let some runners go. So it's in an expansionary move. Remember, expansion leads to contraction. Now we wait for the contraction. That's what I do. Now, if you're in it, you got space, right? If you bought over here on before earnings, congratulations, all right? You're up. So you can have a stop under this low, right? Or you can take partial profits and move it to break even, whatever you choose to do. If at minimum, I wouldn't let this turn into a loser. Actually, at minimum, I wouldn't. Not even a loser. I wouldn't want to lose over 30. You're up. It would be up. You'd be up 50%. So, at that case, I would be probably pulling profits regardless, because that's a huge move. And then I'd look for the reset up, and I always look to add maybe if you want to build in and trade around the position. But yeah, okay. What's chat rate? I have this little thing that says chat rate 4. I wonder if everyone starts chatting, if it flies to something else or something. I wonder what that does. Chat rate. I'm telling you, this is all new to me. Okay. MicroStrategy. T-Mobile. Let's go T-Mobile, MicroStrategy. T-Mus.
Yeah, so another good looking name. It's consolidating. This has been very positive. Maybe look for a retest of the year to date and see what happens from there. Right, if we can get down there. 5-day moving average still declining. Right, all these communication stocks been looking really good. Verizon pulled a whippersnapper on us over here. It dropped pretty significantly and it affected them, but now it's kind of creeping back up over here. Communications has been a really good spot as of recent. They've been holding up pretty well. AT&T, right? Same thing. Where did it come to? Came right down to that year-to-date VWAP. Boom. Saw a little pop from it. So these names are still strong. They're in bullish trends. You look for setups. You follow the trend. Right? Pretty clean. Microstrategy. So this falls in the category for me for... I'd be watching the Sailor to Shift tool. That's what I like to use, right? And we just pointed out the Sailor to Shift tool is still in a technically sell signal, sell trigger. This thing looks like it can keep going here. Pay attention to the year-to-date VWAP. It is currently declining, and you can see that we've tagged it many times over here. That's that purple line over here, and then over here again. And we're kind of holding that 200-day. All right, so if we pop up here, we get some more space. These things are pretty wild and wacky as far as like a setup here on the daily time frame. I don't really see a clean setup. So you go into the 15-minute time frame, you might be looking at this as a flag so we can get some continuation to some of those levels. 5-day moving average is still declining, so I'd be waiting to see how that kind of sets back up. But right now, right, if you're just trading based off today's price action, I mean, pretty clean consolidation, strong move, consolidation. So if Bitcoin's going to start getting some strength here, probably going to see MicroStrategy follow through, right? Today, we came into its upper vol range, got rejected, broke right through it, still holding up. Cool. If it starts cracking under this consolidation, maybe it comes back down to today's VWAP. But overall, it's pretty strong stuff. Let's take a look at market net flow really quick. Still not giving us much. We're still no convergence, right? So you don't really have a strong trading edge here, but we still have a pretty strong bullish divergence. So what does this mean? It means the market can do a counter trend move or consolidate. That's what we're seeing. Let's look at SPY. It's up 170 basis points. Where are we? We're at the lower weekly implied move. So this consolidation, hopefully it resolves itself. The longer we stay here, the better, right? That's going to help turn the 5-day moving average over. That's where we're at. Okay. Continue on. Spot and Reddit. Some of those names are also the ones that really kind of sunk off with the market, but there are good names, right? So we saw like pretty strong breakouts here, strong earnings moves, and then they kind of came back in to retest some levels. As it stands right now, Spotify is reclaiming its year-to-date VWAP. Spotify looks pretty strong. I would prefer to see how it sets up. If you go long right here, your stop would probably be at low of day. As far as the 5-day moving average goes, we're kind of extended, right? It's been a strong move. So I want to see how it pulls back. If it pulls back, maybe look for around this 540 area, kind of where we have some volume, right? And the 5-day moving average starts to catch up and see if we can follow through. But right now, right, if the market wants to go and continue its bounce and get a face rip and rally, you can get just, constant days of some upside price action. So long here, probably would just stop down here, or you say, hey, I'm going to see if this thing digests, consolidates, and sets up for a little bit better risk to reward. That's my approach here on Spotify. Reddit, probably it's a similar situation, to be quite honest here. Actually, it's not really. Reddit's still early, actually, because we're starting to turn right here. So the 5-day moving average was declining. It's still declining, but price is above it. That's why it's a yellow, right? So let's go over to the daily time frame. We have an inside trading day right now. Remember, expansion leads to contraction. We get into contraction. It kind of found itself right there on the 200-day. We're still below some of these key levels here. The year-to-date, declining 20, declining 50. So here, if we're going to get a bounce, if the market's going to move, this could be one definitely to watch. And it's kind of early in its stages of potentially changing, right? So this is kind of that consolidation over here that I like to see. Now I'd like to see the 5-day moving average kind of confirm it. So for Reddit, right, this was the high of today, right over here. So if we can come up and break that high and still be within inside trading day, say tomorrow, and this thing starts to move out, I would have a stop at today's low or give it a little bit more space and see if we can pop through this and see a little bit of a move to the upside and kind of manage risk at the higher lows that have the potential to form there.
Saying TGT bounced off the 200 MA on the monthly several times, and it's not far from there. That's good. That's good insight. No. I'll have to pull that up on another time for target, but that's actually a good insight. 200 monthly moving average. Interesting. Lunar is Lunar. Didn't they just have like something happened with like one of their something, right? We talked about this one while it was actually occurring live, and then it started halting and crazy stuff. Something to do with their spacecraft. I forget what it was. I can't remember. But yeah, we're starting to consolidate here. Maybe we do find a bounce. Get some relief after what it just did, right? But right now, what is this? Strong move down, consolidating. Could be a bear flag, but sometimes you get little pops, right? Sure. Where would risk be, right? So if you're playing this, here's your flag, right? So stop would go under today's low, or if you want to be even more tight, probably under right here. But the 5-day moving average is still declining right now as we're trying to kind of reclaim it. Okay. Apple, Blackberry. So Apple we talked about a little bit earlier. This one's still pretty weak. Yeah, not much going on in Apple. When I play now, when I look to play these extensions, I go into these the vol ranges here. So yesterday I was about to execute another piece, but I ended up not. I'm glad that I didn't because the market conditions were just not favoring it. Right now we're kind of floating up at the upper vol range. So if we were to come slip down into the lower vol range, maybe on not tomorrow, sorry, on Mondays. I've been saying tomorrow, but Monday's trading session, that could be something to potentially watch for. When it comes to scaling into stuff like this, right? Like, so for example, on this day over here at basically the very low, which was right under the vol range, you take, right? When I do this, I'll do small positions. I'll start small. Then yesterday I was about to, ended up not. So if we can break down a little bit further come Monday, I might scale an extra element into that, looking for a bounce. Okay, and then that would drive my price, back, mid-range over here, and then I'd be looking for follow through, and then it still would be a very small size position to the point where I'd be looking at that lower vol range on the Mag 7 on that Mag 7 document. Apple looks like right now, I'm just not interested in adding to that position at all. But it's so small, it's not gonna affect my portfolio until I can actually build into the position after seeing strength. Right, that's what pilot positions are for. It's for building into something that I think is going to happen, right? And then trying to add more elements into it, right, when it actually sets up, right? So I'm not scaling a full-size position on crap. I'm starting pilots, and then if it proves itself, I can build into it. Does that make sense? Hope that does. Go back to SPY over here. We're just floating around the vol range. Let's go back over to chat. Blackberry. Yeah, we can look at Blackberry. That's not Blackberry. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Blackberry, but Blackberry's been pretty good, right? Let's go to the weekly chart. We had some nice little turnover here in the 40-week, 30-week moving average, pulling back here. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with contracts with, does BlackBerry have like some sort of government contracts, right? I haven't seen anybody have a BlackBerry phone, so what do they do? But that's not really, it doesn't really matter. Right now, they've been doing quite well. We're underneath the year-to-date VWAP. We're consolidating here. If I go to the 15-minute chart, starting to reclaim that 5-day moving average, it is a little choppy. Right? These were, yellow, meaning it was still declining. Now we're starting to get green. So yeah, I mean, if it's starting to change trend where it can come back up here, cool. But right now, right, if you're trading BlackBerry, I'd be more bullish above the year-to-date VWAP if it proves itself through that, and then stops down here or something like that. Because if it starts cracking lower, I'm not trying to hold it down to $3 or anything like that. ANET and AIG. Arista Networks. Yeah. So for me, I'm not loving the look of this, right? A lot of these charts, I just don't love the look of them. I'm looking for strength and I'm looking for better trends, because the last thing I want to do is, execute into something that's pretty bearish and think that it's going to go up higher, and then it just falls right back down. So it has a lot of work to prove itself. So when a chart looks like this on the daily, I go to the smaller time frames and say, hey, okay, now it tells a little bit different story. It tells me that I have to be a little bit more tactical, knowing the bigger picture. But here, right, the 5-day moving average is declining. We're starting to turn up, starting to flag out. So if this starts catching up, right, maybe we break from this and we see a nice little pop up. And that to me would make sense from a smaller picture. You drill back over to the 200 daily time frame, right? Perhaps we come back up to around 90, because once we broke this low, we saw a nice big flush, and we haven't really tested back there yet. So up to 90, that probably brings the 20-day, which is declining. Maybe it comes in and then starts to set back up more.
Reuters,
but that's how I would approach that.
Billionaire investor Slim eyes bigger participation in two of Pemex's key
welcome,
fields,
Paco.
Zama and Ashay, and does note Talos Mexico, Hub Energy, and Pemex in advanced talks to jointly operate the Zama to produce crude oil. And Slim's Grupo Carso
AIG looks pretty good.
In the Ashay natural gas field.
Some of these insurance names do look really good. So AIG, it's starting to break out today, so this is pretty clean. So in my opinion, if you took this trade, stops under the low or under here, and it looks like it's trying to break out to a new move. A lot of these, is AIG insurance? Is that what this is? Because a lot of insurance names right when I pulled it up, I'm like, it kind of looks like an insurance name. Isn't Root an insurance name too? Yeah, that was looking good. What else do we have? Is Travelers an insurance name or no? I can't remember. But Travelers looks really good here too. It's at highs of day right now and kind of breaking this trend. Looks like it's going to retest up into here and try to move. This is a pretty darn good, kind of rounding pattern base here. Maybe we really try to go for this thing and try to double this base up to 300. There's other insurance names too that look pretty sharp. So AIG looks clean, Ryan. Those are my type of setups. I love that tight price action, good trend. They're holding up, right? I look for continuation in those names, and if they break down, whatever. I know exactly where my stop's going to be, right? What's sale point, Chase? I don't know what sale point is. I've seen that a few times texted, but I don't know what sale point is. Is there a ticker for that? Is that like a stock? Yeah, exactly, Junior Brand. You're welcome, Gamified. I think, I know TA is astrology, but this is good stuff. I think that most people that say it's as astrology is the people that don't actually understand technical analysis. Technical analysis is not a way to predict markets. It's a way to manage risk. It's a way to forecast, right? That's all it is. I think people think it's like, foreign or like astrology, because the common perception of it is people believe that TA predicts the future, but that's actually not what technical analysis is. Technical analysis is a tool used to help find various levels and manage risk within those aspects. And then there's quantitative analysis, right? Technical analysis, quantitative analysis. There's a lot of math behind a lot of this stuff. I know most of the time, you see a line on the screen, and sometimes those lines look like they matter, sometimes they look like they don't matter. But you pair that with other aspects of the market, whether that might be internals, breadth, sentiment, and so forth. But it is data. It's actual data, and then how you interpret the data is a whole nother thing. Apple just took a spill here. Bad news from their meeting. Let's see. That's kind of just floating around here. I think an immediate reaction.
Settlement here settles 63 cents higher, $67.18 about. That's a WTI settlement.
XSP 0 dates. I'm not much of a 0 date trader at all. Could this be a bull trap? It definitely could be. That's always a possibility. We'll know that in hindsight. Tesla and Sofi. Yeah, we'll pull up Tesla. I have a position in Tesla. Tesla looks killer right now. Look at, oh my gosh, this thing's gonna break out. This thing's gonna break out or break down. Look at, right at its vol range, but look at this. Look at all these higher lows. Right here at about 250. Watch us break 250 and go to 253. Tesla looks pretty darn good right here. I mean, look at the volatility here. Just, it keeps on getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Let's go to the upper vol range. It looks like there's probably a big order. I don't have my Bookmap loaded, but I would imagine if I pulled up Bookmap, there's probably just a huge order here. But okay, so let's pretend, right? Let's pretend there's a big order. I can actually go to level 2. Let me see. Yeah, 250. It's kind of floating around over here. Yeah, see, there's 20 over here. 250, 20. So there's some big orders over here. But okay, so this is the thing here. It doesn't mean 20 shares, by the way. It's okay, but that's for another day. Going over level 2 data or market depth. But what happens here is you try to come up here and you fill some of those orders. Say if it's like, for easy math, 1,000 shares, right? 1,000 shares. So you come up here. This is what I call the buy stop pop. You kind of a trading strategy, right? So you come up here and it like, oh man, we ran into this gigantic order, but we don't have enough buyers right now, so we get rejected, right? So we fill maybe 200, right? Boom, 200. So this thing goes down to 800. And this is simple math, right? This is basic. It's not. And then we can't find more buyers. It takes a huge breath. And then we finally come back up. We're like, we're going for it. Boom, right? We don't have enough buyers. We just exhausted ourselves. Comes back down, but they knocked off another 200, right? So when we go now it goes from 800 down to 600. And then we come back in. We're like, oh, gotta take a breath. Where's the buyers? Come on. Well, we're going back here, right? Put in a higher low. All right, we're going for it. Oh, we got rejected again, man. Ugh, but we took off another, 200. So now we're down to 400 on the orders. Boom, we got 400 of their orders out of the way. We're taking a little bit of breath, look for more buyers. Oh, they're coming back. We're coming back for it. We got rejected again. Now it's down to 200. Okay, you see what I'm saying here? So it's literally, volatility is contracting. We're going to try to break these sellers right here. And if it does, all of a sudden, the doors of whatever open up, and we can see, hopefully, the idea would be that you see then more buyers step in, breakout buyers, short coverers, whatever the case may be, and you get a nice big pop, right? A pop, which is why we call it the buy stop pop. So we're kind of right there. So we'll see if it gets rejected many times. So you got to be very careful. If you get the pop and if it comes back in, that's when volatility starts to expand. Just be very careful because in some cases, bull traps, right? False moves can lead to fast moves. All right, so we're right there they're trying to take out that wall right now. We'll see if the buyers here can follow through. On the 15-minute time frame, you can see it, same thing, right? Kind of consolidating sideways. Actually, a great way to look at this for if we don't have the pressure, look at what happened to Kava. Kava was doing the same thing, getting very tight up here, trying to break the wall, and then they just gave up. Boom, right? I'm not saying that that's going to happen to Tesla, but they just gave up here, and now we're trying to come back. We're trying to come back. Come on, Kava. All right, so let's go to Tesla. We'll watch that. We'll watch it. See if we can do it. There's actually other charts that people brought up here. So your Apple, Tesla. Their lander mission failed. Oh, okay. Was that on Lunar, right? Lunar ship landed, snapped the leg, and the stock dropped 50%. Oh man, that's a bummer. Did they ever so they can't retrieve it? They have to. I don't know how that works. What's up, Joel? Getting out of his seat for this question. It's a full moon today. It's full moon? Yeah. I don't know why, but sometimes when people look at these moon charts, they're kind of interesting, right? They are interesting. That right there is astrology for charting. When you apply the full moon charts to certain things, it is like I've seen some. I'm like, it's pretty weird. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, Uber's around support. We did talk about Uber. We talked about it right over here on this kind of setup. How it's kind of how we kind of listed it out. It's still below a declining 5-day. We did go over Uber. Some lines don't matter, right? SoFi. Yeah, we'll look at SoFi. Look at here. Okay, wait. I was kind of hoping that this happened. Here's the pop. And look at the volume. Look at the volume. We just cleared the order. You see what I'm saying? There's the pop. All right. All right, let's do it. Come on. Let's see if we can make it all the way to the upper vol range. So that's the initial reaction. Now we just need buyers to maintain, right? We don't need a fake out here. So I'm gonna just pull up level 2 because I don't got Bookmap on me right here. All right, so about 60 cents. Yeah, so about 30 cents higher. We're coming into another. Did they just pull their orders up higher? So right about here. I mean, it's good to see this. It's good to see it because if we can clear this now, oh, there it goes. They're taking them. They took it. Let's see if they're still pulling or putting them in anywhere. It's pretty fun to watch this. 251. All right, so 251. So on the buy stop pop, I usually when I'm scalping, I go for 50 cents and $1.
$70.
Sometimes it'll go longer, but I'll scalp it out.
That is Brent.
But we're back there at 251 with some orders overhead. 251, 20 cent. So we'll see because if the buyers remain strong, they're going to start clearing these orders out, and that will propel it. It'll push it hard. So 251 is about 3 cents higher. 10 cents higher. And then they have a little bit more there up ahead. So are the buyers really gaining control here? If they are, they're going to try to blast through all these this auction here. So there's through 251. There's the pop through 251. We'll see if it pops up to 50 cents up higher. That's typically where I look. And then the next level was, what was the next level? Dang it, I just pulled it. 60. So 251.60. A little bit higher. Come on, just rail through it. It'd be fun to watch just a rail right through. Cool. There it goes. This was such a good example live of some of the setups that I look for. And the buy stop pop. I didn't have Bookmap up, but level 2 data can do justice. And look at the volume. So the volume is just confirming. The volume is confirming of a good breakout right now. So when we consolidate, because you always consolidate, you want to see it pull back, right? You want to see it pull back, but you want to see volume just dry back up, and then buyers, right? They get a little exhausted. They come back in. They take a little bit of a breath, and then they try to go for it and jam it again. So. Pretty good. Pretty cool stuff. We'll come back to that. I'm not going to just sit here and watch it. Okay, let's take a look here. All lines matter. Let's see here. Comes the rip. Yep, the more times resistance gets tested, the resistance gets weaker. But more importantly, Michigan Trails, more importantly, it's not like a fictional resistance level, right? You have to confirm it typically with, is there actually a reason why, and how big is the reason why, and if it's still resistance? Because this might look like resistance right here, but what happens, it comes down to like, oh, see, that's resistance. But what if the sellers leave? What if they're no longer there? right? Then it's potential resistance because they might come back, but you don't know that unless if you pull up the data that shows you, though, no, there's still sellers there, right? And you can, I mean, it's like taking a blindfold off. When you could read level 2 data and just see, I mean, these are all like, right, the exchanges, right? And then you see the orders, right? It's taking the blindfold off and seeing what's actually behind the candlestick chart. It's the order book. And that's what an auction is. It's just buyers and sellers. And when you don't have enough buyers or sellers, the price action will float to where there are buyers and sellers. Supply, demand, right? And there's many ways to look at that. Level 2 data for me, I hate how fast it moves, and I find it to be a little bit more difficult to read. So Bookmap kind of cleans that up for me a bit. But I still, I started with level 2 data, so I got used to it. This one here on Thinkorswim, I do not like that one because it's so like wide. I like the compressed level 2 charts. And then when there's a very clear level, I'll look at it, right? Like a very clear, like bigger order that stands out. Like this one right over here at 250, it did stand out. And you could see that because the volume. Why did volume go bigger right here? It's because we just broke through that wall, right? That's what that wall was. All right, moving on. What is Pi Day, please? Oh, that's okay. That's not for me. ATR. Do you use ATR to measure volatility? Sometimes, but that's historic volatility, right? So there's 2 types of volatility. You have implied volatility, and you have implied volatility is more, more of a indication of what the market's pricing in looking forward, right? Future volatility, and then you have ATR, which is the true range, right? Or historic volatility. And I think both are important to its extent to give ideas. These ranges that you see on my chart, these are expected moves based off of future looking volatility. And I've even incorporated some calculations as far as true ranges, average true ranges. But the problem with historic volatility, it doesn't incorporate what's around the corner, right? So I think it gives you good sense of like, hey, it's typically there. Like if it comes down this low, this is typically, kind of where we start to, can bounce from, right? This is within range, or you could get a good idea for a stop loss or something like that. But yeah. Call and put wall at 250 for Tesla. Yeah, there's probably some sort of options over there going on. I haven't looked at the gamma exposure levels for Tesla. I was just watching that big order. Oh, gotcha. Thanks, Varma. I appreciate that. Yeah, it might pin at 250. Are you talking about pinning at 250? That's very possible, especially if there's like a big gamma exposure level there. You can pull up, you can come back down, pin around it. That's why I call it the buy stop pop. I'm looking intraday, right? This is a 1 minute chart. I mean, come on, like I can close my eye, I can go on a walk and I'll come back and it's back at 250, right? So this is for the more execution, like faster executors. The thought here was that we can come up and touch the upper vol range, the main level here, which is based off of just some math that I put together to drive expectations of potential risk there. I don't know why I'm still on the Tesla chart. We'll pull up Meta. Oh, similar setup to Meta. Was Meta looking like this? You made $160 from that? Nice move, man. Wow, good stuff. I have a position in Tesla, but this is something that I would have traded. I find it very difficult to trade live because I'm trying to communicate and talk, read chat, and I just do not feel comfortable executing positions if I can't focus fully on my positions. It's a little bit it's too difficult for me, so I have to pretty much do it earlier in the trading session, and then if I do see something set up while I'm live, I'll approach it from like a swing trading perspective. But intraday is a little bit too. It requires too much of my attention. I can't. I already struggle enough with ADD, right? Reading a book is like dang near impossible for me. To read the page, and then I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat for dinner, and then I'm all of a sudden reading the page, and then seeing how it relates to my life, and I keep on reading, and I'm like, wait, what did I just read? I'm still thinking about 2 pages back. Level 2 data, does it show dark pools? I mean, there's things called like iceberg orders and stuff like that, right, that it probably won't pick up on because, and on top of that too, you might have, there's a lot of ways to hide within L2 data or level 2 data. Dark pools, no, it won't show dark pool data. I'm almost certain that it won't. I guess it depends on who's providing you the data, right? Because I guess maybe if it's a certain provider, they can incorporate that in somehow and look for that. But that's done on dark pools is done from, it's a little bit different how those work. All right. And then a lot of like funds, they don't want to move the price of a stock. So what they'll do is they won't have just a large order. They'll just have algorithms go 100 share, 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 and they'll hide their bigger orders through just various mechanisms. Right? But every once in a while you get in there and you see like, oh, there's a massive wall of orders over here. They're just, and it's very clear. So there's pros, there's cons to it, right? That's just kind of how it is. Okay. Been considering getting Bookmap. I feel you. Trial it out. Derek, are you if you're in the Discord in the discount resource section? I have a link that gives you a discount to it. Just know that on Bookmap, you can you have to still get like data feed, and I think Bookmap now offers the data. My Bookmap, I've been having issues with how my data works. I used to have DX feed, and then we switched it over to Bookmap data, and I'm having issues with it. I can pull up equities, but I've been having like I can't figure it out for futures. It's been very annoying for me, and I just haven't really taken the time to get a hold of them and hop on a call and whatever and work through it. Your health tech company got hacked, so cybersecurity plays. Hey, cybersecurity has been looking pretty good. We can pull up some cybersecurity names if anybody has any that they want to pull up. Astronomical order, yeah, like a bit. What I mean is just a large order that stands out, right? Right. So if I pull up, level 2 data, and we just have regular amounts of orders, like say there's just ones across the screen, but then one's standing out, and it's like 2 or 20, right? Versus all the ones that say 3, I'd say it's a pretty large order that's standing out, right? Versus everything else that's on the tape, which would mean that it's a pretty important level. Yeah, Intel. Yeah, let's see what's up with Intel. Oops. So Intel is kind of just floating around its upper vol range here too. Right, let's go look at the 15-minute time frame, flagging out, consolidating that recent news. Today's an inside trading day. It would be great. If we get 3 inside trading days, that'd be great. But yeah, inside trading day after a big move, look for these consolidations and potentially follow through to retouch these highs. The 200-day, it's still floating downwards, but the 20 days sloping up, the 50 days starting to slope up. So are we starting to potentially try to get into more of a markup stage? It can take some time to do that, but right now we're just base building, and the 30-week is starting to flatten out, 10-week, right, which is the 50-day, and then right here, this is a pretty big bullish reversal candle from a weekly perspective.
Remarks from U.S. President Trump, who is to speak at the DOJ.
Uh-oh. Don't ruin the rally. And then you have a pretty nice divergence here on the weekly time frame too, right? So you have kind of matching lows over here with a pretty nice big move higher here on the MACD. So it looks pretty good, right? If you go long right now and you're thinking that it's going to be a longer term investment, I probably have stop under this week's low, and I'd be just buying and holding it and going through some volatility and see what it does if it can go into a markup phase. Thanks, Justin. Darren, you have the same problem when you read? Yeah. Telling you, man. I always love like getting books and reading, but as soon as I start reading, man, it's the biggest. I'm so hard to just like focus. You think institutions can buy in the lit market and simultaneously short in the dark pool? Oh, level 2. The lit market has a higher effective price. I mean, institutions can do a lot of things. I don't know exactly to the extent of how they look at it. The thing is, they don't, like most institutions, they want to get into a position and not impact price. They want to build out a full position with lots of money without trying to impact it. So they look for ways to kind of get around that. There's many times that could not be the case, but from my understanding, from what I've seen, when positions are being made that have the possibility to move a single equity or something like that, they have to approach it significantly different. Bookmap through Thinkorswim. Oh, that's another option. I don't know. That's actually a good option. I don't know how that works. I don't even know how to set it up. I have it here. It says it right here. I have Bookmap, and I think you can actually use ES on here. I don't know. I haven't done that, but it's not a bad idea because the data feed in Thinkorswim is free, right? As long as you're not considered a professional trader, where you'd have to pay it. Then you could set that up through your account. Do I think prices will go up while the consumer sentiment is weak? Prices for cars? Not too familiar with the car market, to be quite honest. I don't really follow it too much. I don't. I've spent this year on gasoline. I've spent, I think, about almost $67 total in my household. That's how much I drive. We also have an electric vehicle, so that helps, but I hardly drive. And then my vehicle is a hybrid, which uses like no gas. Do you know how the Bookmap through Thinkorswim compares versus a Bookmap website? I don't, but I would imagine it's the same.
We have posted a
Derek,
link
I'd
to
imagine
the
it's the
headline
same.
feed if you'd like to view it for yourselves.
I would imagine it is. I'll tell you one thing. Bookmap, the software, you need a computer that can run that thing because it takes up some resources. Ticker sale. Oh, sale. Ticker sale. Is that what you were talking about, Chase? Okay, my bad. I'll pull it up now. Sale point. So is this like a newer IPO or something? I mean, not the cleanest setup right now. Let's go to the 15-minute chart. Still below a declining 5-day moving average, so maybe if it sets back up. But for me, I'd be waiting for it to do something. You know? Other than that, it's kind of just floating around here. And then this is the year-to-date VWAP, so it's kind of go, pretty sharp move to the downside today. I don't even know if, no, this isn't even down today. It's not showing it correctly on my screen. Let me go back to here. Yeah, it's not showing correctly on my screen. Dude, Thinkorswim is messing up on me big time. See, what is going on here? I have sale point incorporated here when I pull it up, and then I pull up on TradingView and it says Steel Authority of India. What is going on? Here, there we go. I'm tripping out. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, so now, we have an inside trading day today. So maybe if we break the high, that would put us above the 5-day moving average, and you want to see it start to flatten out. But right now, it's just not too clean for me right now. Thinkorswim, yeah, Bookmap, very little difference. Okay, that's good to know. I might actually just have it incorporated into my Thinkorswim at that point then, because I've been having issues with my my software. I keep on running into problems. Although I wonder if the same settings can be set up through Bookmap, and I don't know if you can use any of the additions on that, like any of the add-ons. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that's true or not, but let's look at Palantir. Yeah, Palantir's starting to move here. consolidated a little bit, then we broke out. Floating around highs of the day, kind of flagging out over here. Pretty nice. I mean, everything looks pretty strong. Chasing it, be careful. But if you're already in it, then cool, congratulations, you're in it, right? Hopefully we can break. It looks like we're going to probably test the year-to-date VWAP again, at minimum. And yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's take a look at the 15 or 30-minute chart over here. Yeah, I like how it's kind of breaking out of this kind of consolidation over here. Yeah, it looks very strong. Looks strong. SPY floating right back at that lower weekly implied move. Just haven't really busted from it yet. And you can see over here, market net flow, we started gaining convergence. We saw the move higher with that, but as it stands right now, we're just kind of floating around the upper gamma range, which is roughly about 561, about 30 cents lower. Chopping, but the more we chop, the better, right? The more, if we just chop up here, perfect. That's great. You want to see that. Now, what can cause a potential squeeze up higher today for the S&P 500, which you'd want to see? What I would like to see, first and foremost, I'd like to see the red line not go up. The red line, I do not want to see that go up. But if this green line starts all of a sudden just cranking up, starts turning up pretty hard and fast, and price action is not doing much, that could give us inclination that we can see some sort of a drive higher into the close. We got about an hour left, and what are we doing? We're just dancing with the lower weekly implied move. It's pretty impressive, actually, right? Pretty impressive stuff. And by the way, if you don't know what the implied move is for the week, right? These are given out, going into the trading week. So this level right here, 560.67, we knew about, on Sunday, going into this week. And then Monday, right, we drove down to it basically day one. And then we kind of undercut it. We sold off a little bit more. And we always know that there's a probability that we come back to this. I would have loved to see it come down lower today. If it came down lower, I probably would have executed a little bit heavier, because that's the quarter to date. And we know that with the lower quarter to date, and plus, if you look at seasonality right now, look at seasonality. Look at, we're kind of nearing, so the white line is kind of where we are now, right? We bounced up. So we'll see where we're at when this finally loads. But we're kind of near where we find the bottom based off of seasonality. Now, seasonality is always, it works sometimes, it doesn't work other times. Right now it's tracking, right? So it's important to watch it if it's tracking, because it can help you find pivots in the market, right? CrowdStrike is, I think CrowdStrike is data security, right? I think that's the one that had the big old problems way back over here, where like I was even, seeing problems. That was pretty crazy. And then you saw this big gap down, closed at the highs. Those are just great reversal candles. I've seen this countless times, including the bottom of in October 2022, October 2022, when we got our inflation print. Big old print there. The most recent was Mondelez, MDLZ. Look at this. Gap down, right? Boom, but we closed at the highs. Boom. It marks great reversals. So sometimes when you sell off and you see one of these big, bad news, but it closed at the highs, those are sometimes just excellent cues for reversals. What was I doing? IAM. IGV, right? IGV, isn't that security? IGV? Tech security software. This was a really strong one, and we're just kind of moving with the market right now. So getting back above its 5-day, also, positive to see. So this is where, people that are a little bit more aggressive can start to look for getting more capital involved in these markets, thinking that we might see something stronger. But if we don't, if it comes back in, what do? Right? You respect that, because we still are still below gamma flip line, which is one thing. And then two, right? Most of these equities, like for example, we'll look at the SPY, right? It's above a 5-day moving average, but it's still declining. So it's still going to require some time and patience to confirm. I like to watch YouTube rather than Twitch. Yeah, I plan on doing a multicasting, but I wanted to test out YouTube, see if make sure it's all working here. Yeah, VIX is down. Yeah, we'll take a look at VIX futures. Let's go product depth and let's look at VIX futures. Well, I mean, we're still in backwardation. So VIX is down, but we are still in backwardation. That's going to change. It'll change at some point. We're not there yet, but that'll change. So it's kind of a warning shot in a way. Where do we stand where the gamma flip line is, right? The gamma flip line is kind of around 5,800 now, apparently, if that's still accurate. Right now it's telling us 5,800, which is up here. That's pretty far away. So I'll see where that loads actually come end of trading session or into Monday. So still we're above a 5-day moving average, still declining, and we're in negative gamma territory. So what does this mean? It means, and the VIX futures curve is still in backwardation. It means that you can see rip your face off rallies and get people super pumped, but still see it tearing. So you gotta just be mindful of that and manage risk, right? Don't get too emotional about it. It's really all that there is to it. Twitch is a little clunky. Yeah. Jeff, I've been streaming on Twitch for like a minute now. It's like smaller. It's smaller than my YouTube channel, but the only reason why I did is because it was so much easier to figure out on my end. But my previous software, I can do multicasting, and it was like piece of cake. Now I have to get these plugins, and I'm trying to like test it out now again on YouTube, see how it works, see if it's good, and then I'm gonna look for a better plugin to do multicasting. So I'll be back on these platforms again, probably YouTube and Twitch. Thinkorswim, so Robert, the Thinkorswim does not have the gamma flip line. I get the gamma flip line from, I personally like to use Gamma Lab, which is just a company that aggregates the data for me. There's all types of services. So you got Spot Gamma, you got Tier 1 Alpha, you got Gamma Lab, you got, the list goes, Trady Ticks, the list goes on and on and on. Okay, so if I go to Gamma Lab right now, what I like about Gamma Lab is because this is like a low cost entry to very cool data, like very good data. We're talking $15 a month for getting the access to the gamma flip line. But not only that, you get option metrics for SPY, SPXQ, you get systematic flows where you can see CTA positioning, which by the way is crazy right now, right? You get vol control positioning, right? And then also, crazy. COT positioning, right? Then you get context, like a seasonality charts for these products. You get miscellaneous charts of, sector factor and overviews, which tells you kind of where they stand. And then you could also build out dashboards, right? Where you can see like, you can export the levels. You can toggle the sidebar where you can see news feed. And we're talking, this was $15 a month, right? And then I have a 50% coupon. If you want the 50% coupon, it's $8. So this is what I use. And then I have Trady Ticks. I have, all types of stuff. But I don't know. You just can't beat this. Not right now, at least. It's pretty impressive. Right. Yeah, definitely McKenzie. All right. So we're up about 200 basis points now. I think the SPY is getting a little bit of love here. There we go. Come on, let's crank it. Let's go back over to Gamma Lab coupon, please. So the coupon is, I think it's MSD50. Let's see if it is. So the coupon, if you guys want the Gamma Lab, it's MSD50. I'm not 100% positive it's still active because I haven't talked to the guy for a few months. So if it works, great. If it doesn't, I don't know. I don't see why he would cut it. That'd be kind of messed up. Oh yeah, there's quant data. Right, yeah, that's another one. Mentor Q or something like that. Mentor or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. That's another one. There's so many, but also like that's why I'm pointing out Gamma Labs, because like some people don't want to pay $50 to $70 a month for all this stuff. Well, this comes with a lot of stuff for $15. It's cheaper if you buy it more out, and then if the coupon thing still works, and it's like $8. And if you like it, cool. If you don't, you're out $15. Not that much. I don't know. Yeah, Mentor Q. Yeah, that's another one, right? They offer some stuff. Mentor Q offers some levels for free.
DOJ reportedly still working on a plea deal over the 737 MAX crashes. Note they're for Boeing, BA.
I think. Yeah, for sell into the close to occur, you would definitely want to see this change, this structure change. Right now, this is not a chart that I'd say let's fade it. Right, this tool right here, Market Net Flow, will keep you on the right side of trade. Because all day today it said, don't sell the rip. That's basically what this said, right? On some of the other charts that I've shared on Twitter, it said, this entire day said, don't buy the dip, right? That's when the red line looks like the green line, and the green line looks like the red line down here. So this, to me, is just saying, don't fade it. Just don't fade it, right? And by the way, it can change, right? The red line could all of a sudden start steepening here. We can turn gray, and then something bad happens, whatever. But that's just not true. That's just not the case right here. It's just not the case. S&P 500 is basically hitting the new highs on the trading session here. All right, let's go back over to Tesla. Let's see whatever happened to that. Pulled back in. Pull in, kind of on lighter volume. Not really. We're just floating around. So nice pop to 251.50, kind of around those 50 cent markers, and now we're kind of pushing up a little bit higher. So nice little pop. Nice little pop there for the faster traders. All right. Chat rate is up to 6. We're getting some more chat. Hey, what's up, Mario? MQ integrates with TradingView. Yeah, Mentor Q integrates with TradingView. I don't know. Yeah, Gamma Labs does too. You can export the levels into TradingView. I don't know about I don't know if Spot Gamma or Tier 1. I don't think that they do, or I don't know if they do. Can't beat Gamma Lab, yeah. Promo code worked? All right, that's good. That still works. I got to reach out to the guy. Am I expecting a drop? I don't really have much expectations of this market right now. I'm personally waiting for conditions to change a bit, and then I kind of go from there. So right now, this is step one. I think that this looks good. Where can we go to? I mean, coming back into the lower monthly implied move would make sense. Getting back above 568.24. So I think that that's in the cards. I think we're due for some relief, a rally of some sort. I want to just be mindful of that we're still in backwardation, and then going into next week as it stands right now. I mean, just look, this expected move here, 7 days out, right? 136 on the SPX, which is what, $13 on the SPY. So let's go over to my daily or my daily EM chart. And $13 expected move, right? That will be the second, if it does stay there, that's the second largest expected move that we've seen all year. This was 15 and we exceeded it and we're coming back in. So the market's doing what the market priced in for the week right now. It got extended, but we're fixing that, right? Yesterday, what did we talk about? We said, if you get two breaches, right, closing outside, like this is where you look to play the fade, because that's the market saying, hey, we got things incorrect. Things are a little bit unstable. And I always look, and I'm always very privy to when we start getting breaches like that. Like over here, we started ripping up, close above, 2 closes above. What did we do the following week? We came in, boom, right? Okay, over here, we broke, we came down lower, we fixed it, but then we broke again. So we've been breaking a lot of expectations of the market. And that to me is important data to be mindful of. So next week, if it's $13.50 or whatever, I mean, that's bigger than this week, bigger than this week, bigger than this week, but it's slightly smaller, right? This was the expansion, and now we might be seeing volatility contract finally, but it's still wide open. Still wide open. So in my opinion, we come back into the month to date. That would be the first thing. And I want to see us reclaim the gamma flip line and then the 5-day moving average. So I'll play tactfully in these areas, looking for the bounce, but I'm going to be in a position where if we start slipping back under these 5-day moving averages, if we start slipping back under the gamma flip line or stay under there, I'm going to just be very tactical, and I'm just going to make sure I take profits when I need to take profits, move my stops up when I need to move my stops up, and go from there. And I'm going to trade. If I swing trade, I'm going to look for setups that make sense to me. Either one, they're very far extended and they're going to move with the market, right? A high correlation to the market and it bounces up, cool. Or stocks that have not been correlated with the market and they've been holding up rather well and they're tightening up and maybe might break out and move with the market if the market starts seeing some relief here too. So overall, this is just day one of the attempted rally phase, according to William O'Neill. All right. Yeah, SPX I would consider. Yeah, no one that knows. Yes, I would consider just consolidating and flagging out right now. Just no context of that flag in the intraday perspective is, still a declining 5-day moving average, but it is. I would consider this flagging, right? What was the code for Gamma Lab again? It was MSD50. Can a stock price stagnate when net flow looks positive? Yes, absolutely. That would be considered divergence, right? So if the price is actually coming down while net flow is very positive, that's price diverging from net flow, which is also still important to watch, because sometimes if that's the case, especially if you're looking at individual equity, right? If an individual equity has been dropping off, but net flow of that equity has been getting more and more positive, I would be really paying a close eye on that, because it could be telling us that when we approach some key levels and start to see higher lows, you might want to trade into that, and then we might see a nice divergence of some sort play out there between price and net flow. The indicator for the expected move on TradingView, I manually draw all that on my chart. The only thing that I have manual right now are these vol ranges. And that's only on Thinkorswim at the moment for me. This one's not shared yet at this point. I'm still working on it. Here's Apple kind of coming into the vol range. Nvidia has been floating around its vol range. Amazon has been doodling in its vol range. Microsoft, well outside of it. Google, kind of just tagged into it. Meta looks pretty good. But that's like legitimately just like pinned on its vol range there. Berkshire, that's outside of it. Tesla, it's kind of just trading inside of it, not going anywhere. Cool. Spot gaming can be integrated with TradingView, Thinkorswim, and Bookmap. Oh, that's pretty sick. I did not know that, Alpha. That's pretty cool. I'll have to take a look at that, because if it can integrate with actually Thinkorswim, I actually might be interested in that. Yeah, William O'Neill Savage is William O'Neill. Yeah, I just look him up. William O'Neill from he wrote the book How to Make Money Trading Stocks, or how to something like that. And then in there it talks about the research and around finding stock market bottoms, looking for follow through days. Great book. Great book. Yes, MSD50 should be the code there for Gamma Lab. I do share the individual vol ranges on the Mag 7 stocks in the Discord. They are built to give us an idea of risk for the day ahead. I also do for the SPY, the Q, these little things. All right, and then obviously the weekly, which in my opinion, the weeklies are incredibly more important for index products. one that works okay for weekly. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still working on this one. This one's showing for daily, but I can literally just make the adjustment because I know the math behind it now and make it go for weekly. There's like a skew perspective to it where I'd have to adjust it to the way that I would like it. And it gets a little bit more complicated there looking at the skew portion of it, but there's been a couple of things that I've been toying with, but I really wanted it to be able to just like click it for 2 standard deviation moves, go to the monthly if I wanted to, and just check it, and it'll pop up on the screen, and then have some labels. But there's a few things that I'm like, oh gosh, I'm having a hard time putting it all together. And I reached out to a few people, companies to help me do it, and I just haven't heard anything back. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I might just be taking this one on my own. So we'll see. Do I know what the price is for the 200 week on the SPY? I mean, I could look it up. I don't think this is, by the way, I think this is unadjusted chart. So the 200 week is at 50. Wait, no, that's Walmart. My bad. For SPY or for SPX? Let me go back. Let me check these common things. 200 week is 464.34 is what I have. Thinkorswim has been a little bit odd today though, so, but that is what I have for the 200 weekly moving average down here. This is really starting to kind of look at like 2022 a little bit more. So if you watched the brief last night, right, we were talking about how, we built, put a high in, put a higher high, and then we broke down through the 40-week moving average, right? And then the last day we closed at the highs of the trading session basically, or created a hammer candle. Well, if you go to 2022, and then there's also negative divergences there in the MACD and RSI, but you go into 2022, it's kind of funny. You see the high, you see the higher high, you see the divergence. And then as we cracked the 40-week, what did we do on this week? We came back and we closed higher, right? And then we popped up higher before fading and making a new low. And then we popped up again, made another new high before fading. Talk about super difficult environment right there, right? That right there is such a shiesty move where you go, boom, huge move back. And we're like, we're coming back. And then it undercuts the low and then comes all the way back up to break this high and just to reverse on its face. You know what that would look like over here? Look at this. That would literally legit look like this. Boom, we see a move higher. People are like, we're right back at all-time highs, and all you guys were worried about a crash and blah, 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 blah. And then we crack down. And then everyone's like, oh, see, I told you all, I was so right. I was bullet. Boom. And then it breaks high. No, see, you guys just don't understand. Boom. That's what that would look like. That would suck. That would suck. So I think it's, once again, very important to be mindful of those type of analogs of how things have played out in the past, so you can mentally prepare yourself, and then you can get tactical when you look at like the stuff that I look at for market conditions changing, the direction of the 5-day moving average, right? You'd be in and out, right? You'd be in, then you'd get out, right? And then you look at the flip line, which can obviously indicate that we can still see volatility. And those are the tools that I would use if you're being more tactical in this environment. It's pretty crazy. I worked with ChatGPT to code an indicator for like market sell-offs. This was pretty wild. Look at this thing. New study. This is so weird to me. I don't like, so I tried building an indicator that works dynamically on multiple time frames, or it's pulling data from other time frames. And basically when it's red, that's the sell signal. It's like, hey, the market can get volatile. When it's green, that's the go signal. Let's see if I can look at more data. I don't have a name for this, and I haven't shared it or anything like that. I'm not going to right now, but because it's not really like amazing. But so, and then it turns yellow when it's like that. I have another portion on here that when it turns yellow, it tells you like, okay, now is the time where you'll probably reverse. Okay. So dude, look at this thing. It's actually kind of crazy. So over here, right, we turned red. It looks better in hindsight than anything. And then basically they said, hey, all through these chops, right? Boom. And then yellow came, boom, right at the bottom. And then it started turning green over here. Let me keep going. What was this? Was this the pandemic? So it started turning red over here, then turned back to green, and then this day said, no, we're red. And then down here, it started turning yellow, basically saying like now is the time to start looking for moves. It was red, and then we turned green over here, and we started moving up higher. Over here, it was red, just dealt with a lot of volatility. This was red, then green, then red, and then it ended up going higher. See, this was all red over here. So this is the parts where it like doesn't work clean. Although it kind of gave some insight and warning when it went green, it turned back red, and then it really did sell off back into these levels over here. Boom. Kind of cool. See where else? Oh yeah, right over here. So this was the 2022 bear market. Try navigating through this. It turned red right up here, so that was a good insight to get out. But then it turned yellow literally day at the bottom right over here. Boom. And then over here, it wasn't at the bottom, but almost. And then this was CPI day that had that big bullish reversal. This was the last 10% correction over here. And then right over here, right before December 18th, when I was at the NASDAQ, which was a top signal in and of itself, has been red ever since. Even on this move higher, it's been red. Guess I'll watch it for when it turns green, maybe. It's kind of cool, though. Intel. Intel. Yeah, we looked at Intel. It's looking good here. It's still consolidating. Not a bad look. Do I backtest any? I have with the Sailor to Shift tool. That was manual, though. It was all manual. I think that there's some software out there that can help me do the back tests, but I always like to front test things too. Yeah, the yellow it's very specific on the yellow. It's actually very hard for it to turn yellow. It's like it requires significant pressure for a yellow to show up, because it's telling you like this is burnt to a crisp. It's a more rare signal to see it turn yellow. You've listened to the book, The Can Slim? Yeah. I like the Can Slim portion of it, but yeah, that portion of the book, if you listen to it, you don't get access to all the charts, and like the first 100 pages of the book are all charts, which is kind of cool too. You can find many options expected moves on TradingView. Yeah, I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff. ID measured SPY move from 2020 bottom to 2021 top. I'd have to look into that. I'll have to look into that, Ken. So when it looks at things for like TDD and TGT, it doesn't look for the oversold on this little thing that I built out. It's actually based off of an index. So it's what am I doing here? Yeah, so it doesn't. This, like I said, I haven't really actually worked this indicator out. It's not complete by any means. I literally just put it together and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, and then I stopped using it. I just visited it randomly today. I don't even have a name for it. It says new study. You know what I'm saying? It's this one's actually not even for these charts. I mean, I guess it works. It'll work, but it was actually made it for the S&P 500. Yeah, AVGO. So if we get a yellow on a name like this, for example, it's going to show yellow on the S&P 500 too. So it's based off of that. AVGO, yeah, kind of bear flagging over here. So just keep an eye on the 15-minute time frame. Maybe go to this and then notice how we're putting in higher lows here. So is it due for, potentially move through here? Yeah, possibly. Right? So I would trade it tactfully, just understanding that the daily time frame, you're going up to some pressure.
Savage, just yeah, don't pose like if it's pirated material, delete it if it's pirated material. I don't want pirated material shared in my Discord. TTD. Trade desk is just completely obliterated. Do I have a Gamma Lab tutorial? I don't have a Gamma Lab tutorial, but a lot of those charts can be looked up. I mean, you can just copy the chart, throw it into ChatGPT and say, explain it to me, right? Or you can look it up on Google. That'd be another way. But I don't think Gamma Labs has tutorials yet on all their stuff. It's Archie material, not pirate. All right, perfect. All right, thank you. I just don't want to get in trouble on that stuff. IoT. Yeah, so IoT, and yeah, we're getting some bounces here, and it's compressing here on the 15-minute time frame. So bearish daily, trying to change here on the smaller time frames, like the 15-minute time frame. SPY just consolidating here sideways. Market net flow still bullish.
Of the week again, we got the CFTC data. Starting with the treasuries, speculators increased treasury bonds futures net short positions by 16,400 contracts to 34,000. Speculators increased ultra bond net shorts by 19,500 contracts to 251,000. In the 2 years, specs raised net shorts by 51,000 to 1,200,000.
Tesla now, you say 248. Yeah, so that sounds like it came back in a bit. I mean, makes sense, right? So what we showed earlier, here, let's go back to Tesla. 15-minute chart. No, actually, let's go intraday. This is what the buy stop is. Sometimes you get stronger moves, but the break here, right, from...
And just breaking away from the weekly CFTC data, just seeing some
$1.09 per share.
Trump,
it's more of a tactical approach.
More about Ukraine's
if you're day trading, if you're intraday trading, right? And if I go back to the 15-minute chart, we're above the 5-day moving average, right? We tested it over here. It's still declining, which means what? You're fighting pressure on both the daily chart right here, so it's basically heading down, right? So you're fighting that pressure, and on the smaller time frames, you're fighting this pressure. So even if it comes in a bit, right, this starts to flatten out, it could still be a good sign that we can pick back up.
A bit further here,
but just be mindful that, hey,
Trump comment does
prices overall compressing.
Trump said in an interview with Sinclair's Shell
so to see it break down, like that would just be moving with
Sunday,
the flow of the market.
As administration will know more about Russia's readiness to agree to a proposal for a 30-day ceasefire with Ukraine.
PCT update. Yeah, let's take a look at PCT. So smaller time frames, it's above a 5-day moving average. The daily chart, still here at the lower portion of this channel. I like to look at the weekly because this is kind of how I'm approaching it. I'm interested if we start reclaiming the year-to-date VWAP and then start breaking out. But I do like how it's still an inclining 30-week, 40-week. Now I just want to see it prove itself a bit more. Druckenmiller got in. He has like a 45 basis point position, right? Something like that. From what I read or heard. So it made me kind of interested in taking a shot at this. I don't have a position yet, but I've been kind of, I've been a little bit stingy with, because when I take a spot shot on this, it's going to be a small position and it's going to go into an account that I probably never look at. So I'm being a little stingy here, but it is what it is. I'm still keeping an eye on it because this one, lower price name, and then the potential for it to get to see it as a big mover is kind of high up on the list, and we're just dealing with some other market volatility right now. The dude breaking noise, yeah, sounds so sophisticated. I know. What service am I using for which thing, Tran? For the guy that's talking in the background, that news is coming from Thinkorswim. Savage, are you talking about the gamma range? This gamma range up here? That's a new feature that they added. It's pretty cool.
That's right now at 561. Okay. Trump speaking with DOJ right now. Yeah, that's probably why we see price action kind of going around here, floating around sideways. I think I'm going to call the stream, everybody. I'm glad that everyone appreciates the being back on YouTube here. I'm trying, like I said, I'm going to try to multicast it and do this, you know, more frequently, whenever. So if you're on YouTube, right, if you're subscribed to the channel, thanks. And then if you want like an alert when I go live, because I don't have a schedule yet, it's still very difficult for me to have a schedule given the context of we own a business outside of this, and I have to watch my kid when my wife's over there. So it's kind of hit or miss some days. Where can you find Gamma Lab? GammaLab.io, I believe, is the website. And then MSD50 is the code, I believe, that somebody said still works for 50% off the first month. Appreciate it, Colby. Thanks, Jay Martz. Yeah, I'm going to call it quits here. Everyone have a good weekend. I'm happy that we're ending up on the week. Great. We're at the lower implied move, so we really didn't go anywhere since Monday. but at least we're getting some relief, and we'll hopefully it continues. If it doesn't, well, we just got to be prepared for that. And yeah. Thanks for coming out. No, later. Varma, later. Conquer, see ya. Robert, see ya. Abraham, later. Amen. Just me. Thank you. And thanks for everybody out here. Mateus, Savage, Tran, AO, Derek, Algo, Ken, Krishna, SPS, everybody. Sorry if I missed your name there. Yunzi, see ya. And sorry if I'm pronouncing those incorrectly. Dunk, later. Have a wonderful weekend there too, amen. All right. Till next time, everybody.